just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With you flowing this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With you flowing this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half step when Marcus J is live. We are in the building, ready to have a dope show. We're excited. We here in New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. We got a very, 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 very special guest that's going to join us in a little while. We got our sister Firestorm going to join us. She is a promoter. She's a podcaster. She has multiple talents. We look forward to bringing her in. Also, we got a lot to get into, as tomorrow we will see the 1-year anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. So we definitely got to talk about that. Apparently, they're going to be at the White House, and we have questions about this anti-policing bill that has been promised that it doesn't appear we're going to have. Vaccines, people are getting them, and businesses are opening up. New York Knicks had 15,000 people in Madison Square Garden yesterday. So it appears that we're on our way back to normal. I don't know what that means. We're going to talk about it tonight. So we got a lot to get into. We're happy that you're here, and we're going to be here for at least the next 2 hours. I am Marcus J, and they are the crew I'll introduce on the other side. Ain't no half step when Marcus J is live right now.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't No Half Steppin with Marcus J. We are live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893. Be down with the flagship show. Heard live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you, everybody, for rocking with us. We appreciate those folks that are checking us out on Facebook Live, on our pages, on our Legacy Internet Radio Facebook page. We're live there as well. Thank you to those folks that are checking us out on our Legacy TV channel on YouTube. We appreciate you guys as well. All of our places where you are catching this at a later time, our archives, is because y'all rock with us since December of 2011. That's why we continue to roll with you. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial to be a part of tonight's discussion. As I mentioned, on the other side of the T's, we got a lot that we're going to get into tonight, and so we're not going to waste any time. Let's get the salutations open as I go around the room, and I'll say peace to the crew, starting off with my brother, partner, and friend. My brother John is here. What's up, bro?
What's going on, bro? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
I'm good. How was the week? How was the weekend?
Weekend was good. I went to the river.
Yeah, that's what you do.
I went to the river.
Yeah.
Saturday,
Did you lay down your sword and shield?
No, man, I didn't. You know, it was funny. Actually, before I finish, let me get my right hand introduced here, and then we'll go around the room. Of course, our co-host and my sister and your Steph B is here. Steph B, what it do, Steph B? You good?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm better.
Yeah.
I'm better.
Okay. All right. Well,
I'm here with you brothers. I'm better.
Well, we are glad to have you here. You make it so that it's like, cool in here. You know what I mean? Like, if I gotta just hang out with John all the time, you know what I mean? If it was just him, man, you better looking than him. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Look at him. Light skin feelings.
He had the
hurt.
gas face on me, didn't he? He's like, why you gotta make
you pretty,
why you
John.
gotta make
we
jokes?
know you're pretty. It's okay. It's okay.
And so you was asking about the weekend. My weekend was good. Let's see, Saturday, Mama J had a milestone. Mama J got in the car and drove Northern Virginia without a parent.
All right now, Mama J.
Yeah, with a homie and whatnot.
Oh,
and
rode with a homie.
With a homie.
Oh, she don't need y'all.
You know,
no for
another with another one of the homies graduated, and so she rode, and I was on
Mama
pins
J got
and
a good life.
needles and pins the whole time. Mama J gonna be 18 this week.
Man,
Graduate from high school.
You feel
in a couple
old,
of weeks.
or you feeling
I'm
real
feeling
good about
almost,
it, and like don't go anywhere. I don't want you to leave me.
Well, she's not going away to college. She's going to college in town, and she's staying at home while she do it.
Smart.
Yeah. So
Smart.
so that helps a little bit with the anxiety. But I was talking to cousin Terry earlier, who I love. A shout out to Fishbone as well. When I was talking to them, I was, Mama J was with me at the time, and I said to her, she was making jokes, and I said, I am totally not the parent that I thought that I was going to be. Like, people always said, oh man, I know how you is about your daughter. You better have a shotgun ready. Well, I have lots of handguns, so I do have that ready. Firearms on tap and ready. Nah, I like the personal touch of a handgun.
Y'all are terrible.
I'm sorry. The shotgun, like I said, the shotgun works better with teenage boys because you could pack your round, so you could do some Brother Maison rock salt.
How about I put some nickels? How about I put some nickels in there?
Or some Burpees?
I put some nickels. Put some nickels.
You could do some nickels or pennies, whatever. It's enough to give a nice bruise and some bleeding, and really knock them off their feet. To remind a handgun, you kind of just commit the crime.
A little note from the lady crowd in here.
Yes, ma'am.
It's usually the girls, guys.
Yeah.
Boys, teenage boys are dumb. It's the girls that are master.
Yeah, and they dumb enough to do something stupid or follow behind something stupid that she told them to do, as opposed to going, no, I'm not going to do that because your daddy going to shoot me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You want to know what's really awesome about that, though? He follows me on Instagram. I hope he's listening. If he is, then great.
Great. What's up, nephew?
But,
really? Yeah. Wow.
But he follows me. He follows me on Instagram. and I went to the range last week. I had a really good day.
I saw
I had a
when you
really good
posted
day at
that.
the range. I
Yeah.
had a 17 round magazine, and I only had 3 outside the red. You know, so
Somebody going down.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and those 3 were within the second half. You know, so I'm good early.
Send a mass.
Yeah,
Send a
yeah,
mass.
yeah.
Send a mass. Send a mass.
Cinemass.
Yeah,
So
you rupturing something.
So instead of the sternum, maybe I got him in the
That's
rib.
all
on the
right. Yeah,
side.
he gonna bleed out.
Yeah,
He gonna bleed
yeah,
out. They not
you
getting him
know.
to the hospital in time.
So anyway, Steph, how was your weekend?
It was good. I can't complain. I had some you know, shenanigans, a little bit of a good time and a little bit of a cool down.
Yeah,
Sometimes you gotta just know when to chill out,
yeah.
you know. You gotta know when to step back. But it was it was interesting.
So it was a step back weekend,
one
not a
day.
step out.
One day was a
Because
step out.
you was out last weekend.
Okay, now we don't need to do this.
No, I'm just saying, like,
I try to have fun, but yeah, this weekend, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I think there's this lower level of now that things are opening up. What do you do? Where do you go to? Now I almost feel like I have too many options.
yeah, it's like, oh God, what am I doing?
Yeah, what am I doing?
What am I doing?
And I realized I liked when I had to stay home more than I thought I did. I liked
Not
when
me.
I had to stay home.
Let me tell you something. My weekend was boring, but it was incredibly so. I went. I had a project with one of our boys, Bobby. Shout out to Bobby McIntosh, big time developer around town. We had a project with a couple men short, so I was actually putting work in, feeling like a young guy.
Okay.
On Saturday, came back Saturday night and really chilled out because I was tired from working hard, like a stupid person. But Sunday, I got up and felt better. I just rode around the city for a little while. I went down to Shackle Bottom. I went over to Carytown, had me a slice of pizza, sat outside, ate, chilled, just went around town checking out the sights. It was real laid back and just like really, really cool. It was good.
Sunday was piping hot.
Both days were.
Yeah, it was hot.
Yeah, we might have had to cancel the day because my AC in here is not really working like it's supposed to. They supposed to come fix it.
Look at
but
this nice breeze.
But we got that cross breeze and we chilling.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, you know, when I sat down here in New Den, you know, the folks who are watching us right now, they can't see, but you know, just off a screen here to my left is just wonderful
bay window, and I can see, you know, the Richmond City skyline. And whatnot, you know, it's great. You know, hold on, Richmond actually has a very beautiful skyline. Do not be disrespectful.
I mean,
don't
over here by
disrespect the
Main Street
skyline.
Station, you know, you got Main Street.
Yeah.
Why we had to
see why he
everything got to be Manhattan? What?
See him, right? You see him? Beautiful.
I mean, it's beautiful. Yeah.
See,
this is one of those. You could have had a Prince Hakeem moment.
Yeah.
They can't see it, but they can see
lean
how I'm
out
reacting
there.
to it.
Good morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a freebie. That's a freebie.
Yeah. Ain't no how Steph with Marcus J live from New Day Legacy and Radio. Now, you know what's funny, Steph, about what John just said? John went cruising down the street in his 6'4", right? I had lived that. I'm sorry. I've been wanting to find a reason to use that line. But he went for a ride.
My case, it would have been a 6'8", but that's all right.
Yeah, there you go. He's cruising down the street in his 6'8", right? And he went and he sat outside and had his slice of pizza and stuff. But now, if he chose to, he could have sat inside.
Could have sat inside.
Well, no, man,
he
they
didn't
was
even have
fronting
to.
because I was thinking about sitting inside because I had turned the car off and everything. I was gonna sit inside and enjoy it, but they was only serving out the window. I'm like, y'all really on some
depends on
still
where
on some pandemic, man.
It depends on where
There's
you
a lot
at.
of places though that just, I mean, full bore.
Yeah,
it was like they were like, have you heard what the CDC said?
They shut.
And
Oh no,
that was
18th Street was on overload.
Oh, it's crazy out there right now.
So hold on, we getting a couple of hits here. All right, so John, salam, brothers. So Modi B, John, peace to you, brother. Sean says peace. He says depends on where you stand. Libby Hill is the best, and whatnot. So yeah, that's not too far actually from where we are.
Yeah,
so
we could almost see Libby Hill.
almost
in
the skyline. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, right there. You know.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, one of the things that we're noticing now that somewhere in the neighborhood of half of the country in half of our state of Virginia, and I don't have the whole number. You know, I'm not really looking for the whole number, just
who
just the
cares?
ballpark number.
Enough
people have been vaccinated or have gotten at least one shot where things are legitimately opening back up now. And I want to talk a little bit about that in the time that we have before our guest joins us, because, you know, I was in a location not too long ago and I walked in and I saw that the physical bar was open. You know, it's one
Yes.
thing when you go to a restaurant, and you can, you know, sit at the big tables or you can sit at the guest tables,
I
but
prefer
you
the
couldn't
bar.
sit at the bar.
Right.
I'm a sit at the bar type of dude.
Same.
And you know, now you can
I'm typically
again.
alone. And even if I'm on a date, I like the bar because you get to talk to the bartender, you get better service. I'm a social chick, you know.
Yeah. So now you can.
The bar service. If you're at a restaurant with the bar, well, that's all we got in Virginia. Virginia, we got a law, 60-40 law. You can only make 40% of your money off alcohol. So every bar we have is attached to a restaurant. But you get better food service, I found in all of my experience, anywhere I go. If the restaurant has a bar and you really like the food, sit at the bar or sit at the hot tops, because you are going to get
better service.
You're going to get it faster, hotter, fresher. I don't know. It's just something
Sometimes
about
you
the bar.
get free stuff.
Oh yeah, a lot of
I
times you
a
get
lot of
free stuff.
Free drinks sitting at the bar. But where Marcus, I think, was going with this is that was kind of a sign of change, because over the last year, even as things slowly started to creep open, the bar was the last stop.
Thing to fold up.
Yeah, absolutely, because it was the last thing to reopen.
Unfold,
because you're sitting right next to each other.
Right.
You're right, you know, which I don't know. Maybe it's years of growing up riding the subway. I don't care about people sitting elbow to elbow with me at the bar. I really don't. I don't care about it. I think it's social. It's a good time, but seeing it open, like I went to one of my favorite restaurants and I walked in. And I didn't have to wait on the table because the bar was open, which is perfect. Also, and you know, you're sitting by yourself. I was shocked by that. I was also surprised. I went to one of my favorite breweries, and they had a sign out that said, "If you're vaccinated, it's the honor system. You don't have to wear your mask." I left my mask on because I saw how many people.
Yeah, because you got honor.
I'm vaccinated. Oh. Though. But I looked around and I know half of the people there are not. I know there's no way statistically there wasn't one person in there with a mask on when I walked in.
They had no honor.
So, yeah, dishonorable MFers. No, I mean, so I thought about that. I was like, the CDC got it twisted. They really trust us.
No, they don't. They just knew what the hell they was doing. I mean, we ain't even gonna get into mask and pandemic, plandemic, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, listen. Caution.
Less catcalling when you wear
caution
mask.
Caution is well, nah, in some cases more. In some cases more. You get them seductive eyes going.
Oh, please.
We getting a hit in social media from one of our brothers. Our brother Coach Reggie Ship is checking in. He's saying peace to the fam.
Coach.
Salute to the entire team. Many blessings. He's calling in or checking in from Maryland. He says bar service is amazing, plus the variety of conversations are better for networking. That's the money shot right there, Coach.
For sure.
That right there, that comment is the money shot. Our brother Sean, that's right. I remember, Sean, you are a bartender. Sean says, as a bartender of 20 years, I approve that better at the bar message. Yeah. You know, I'm one of those people, even when I'm going with someone, you know, unless it's a time that's designed to be intimate, you know, whether it's, you know, a conversation that I need to have with, you know, a sister, a brother, whoever. If it's a conversation where I need to have it a little bit more private, then maybe I'll have a table, you know, but my preference is always going to be to sit at the bar.
When I didn't know you, the only time we would cross paths was at a, yeah, I'd be at the
oh God, if they reopen and the bar comes back,
they family, we could call out the Croaker spot.
Okay,
I normally would.
Listen, hold on. The world famous Croaker spot of Richmond, Virginia. Exactly. Let's be clear.
Yeah, I would either be already sitting there, but you're an early person.
Yes.
So you could get there like 4:30.
Yep.
And I would typically come like 4:45, and I knew you were a regular.
Yep. Yep.
because you knew all the people.
I'm one of those people, and only because they my family, I normally wouldn't be promoting.
We don't
folks
plug
Who,
if
we
you
don't do the
don't
plug
throw
unless
them
you get down with
dollars.
us. But I've been taking care of enough in there over the last almost 20 years. I can shout them out. I mean, there have been weeks, and I've been in there 4 or 5 days in a week. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, ain't nobody no drunk. This
Go
the
in
chill
there and get that
spot.
voila.
So
This the chill spot.
Yeah.
So I look, it's a restaurant and bar, and I go sit at the bar and I don't drink, folks.
Yeah, he don't.
Yeah.
Right. So that'll tell
It's
you
always an entertaining bar.
it's always entertainment. The vibration is incredible.
Music
Incredible.
is good.
Everything is good, and
And there's always something to be said for going into a neighborhood establishment where everybody knows your name. Not to be corny with cheers and
But
stuff,
that's true.
but that's some real talk.
That's
like
real
growing
shit,
up,
yeah.
that's one of the things that I didn't notice when I first moved to Richmond, that back home there were corner spot bars on multiple
yeah,
corners, all over.
absolutely.
Shout out to the Light Rail Cafe in Jersey City, New Jersey, because that's one of the spots that I would be at if I was home. That's a place that's owned by one of my oldest friends, childhood friend Jermaine Robinson, Councilman Jermaine Robinson of Jersey City, New Jersey, Light Rail Cafe.
Okay, Councilman.
All right, Councilman.
But he owns a saloon because
Is he a
his dad.
councilman like on Power? That Lorenz Taylor, is he single? I mean,
Yeah.
our sister's in the mark.
And
Finger's still
You
there.
notice how I laughed before I answered the question.
Hey, Councilman.
Yeah, Councilman Tate. That's the funniest thing, boy. Shout out to my man Spang, boy. As far as I know, he's not like Councilman Tate.
I mean, there's some parts of Councilman Tate,
but I also
I'm
don't.
good with.
I also don't live in Jersey City
Where do you
anymore.
go? You don't know.
But I know the beer is good at the light rail. I know it
Listen.
is. So, but anyway, the point being, back home there was always a spot
Yes.
on every other
Yeah,
corner.
yeah, yeah.
I remember going into a spot, John, Steph. This is funny, right? Me and my older brother went into a spot called Cherry's Lounge on Martin Luther King Drive. And I don't know why I called it Martin Luther King Drive, because nobody calls it that. We still call it Jackson Ave, and they renamed it 40 years ago to Martin Luther King, but we still call it Jackson. But anyway, remember going in there and we sitting down at the bar, my brother and me, we having drinks and stuff. And the dude behind the bar looked right at us and he said, "Y'all," insert my father's name, "it's boys." And we just looked at him like, "Yeah, we his sons.
We old enough to drink now."
Yeah, man. We are. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from the Den, Legacy in that radio. John, how do you feel about it opening back up? I know how you felt about coronavirus and stuff like that, but I really want to know how you feel about things opening back up.
I'm excited. I get to start cutting out some of my online dating apps. I don't need them as much.
Oh, y'all hear? Okay, you put yourself out there. So this is going to reduce your online dating action.
Eliminate it. Eliminate it. I don't think I got to do it. I mean, yeah, no, I ain't got to do that. I mean, come on, man. I mean, places is open. So you can get out now.
You've only been using the apps because places weren't open?
Yeah. Look,
okay.
I'm a guy, I meet people.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm a little photogenic, but I think in person, I make a better impression.
I always say that about me. I'm cuter in person.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, not to be
I mean, it is
pat myself on the back, but in person it makes a difference for me.
That's that thing. Yes, I'm cute in person. But yeah, I also think it's easier to weed through the BS when you meet people in person. So this will be good for the social engagement and interaction that y'all are, so can we now expect all the stars and squares to be throwing parties? And I mean, because what's good? White party season is upon us.
Well, I can speak for the local squares here. We don't have any plans to do that yet. We still are keeping with the prudence of not going right back to things full bore.
Right.
We are exercising prudence, as I use the terminology that they had us using. But the reality is, while there are a lot of folks who have become vaccinated and a lot of things are opening up, and a lot of the numbers are beginning to go down from severity of illness to death and things of that sort. At the end of the day, we're still very new into this. I mean, we're literally just inside of a 2-year period. And when this all went down, I just one man's opinion. I ain't, no doctor, even though I like Dr. Fauci and stayed at Holiday Inn once or twice. I still think that we should exercise prudence. And while there are places that I have gone, I'm also a person who, I don't be in people's faces.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not a hug everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
type anyway, so.
I was when we had the original day. You guys remember when folks would come in there, I would always, encourage folks to, create their own salutations with one another. Having said that, that is no longer the way I move. I always wear my mask wherever I am outside of my normal pockets of places like here and in home. And, if I'm at a table, with some folks that I know, I still want to try to keep, a little bit of distance away. You know what I'm saying? And so I think if you move that way, you find yourself in a better position to remain safe. But there's no guarantees. There are folks who have never been sick before they got sick. But I am personally encouraged by the numbers going up. We're near 50% of vaccinated people, and those folks who have chosen not to get vaccinated, that's fine. I respect that, and I have no issue with it. If you do, you do. You don't, you don't. My personal hope is that everybody in the entire world goes ahead and gets vaccinated so I won't have to.
I ordered a couple new fitteds, and I had me a brand new all white Yankee ready for all white party season in the summer. I'm ready to do it. Yeah. Send out your invites. Yeah. I've been waiting. It's been a long time.
Yeah,
I'm going out. I got a brand new pair of Air Force Ones
ready for
that ain't never been worn. You can lick the bottoms. I'm good.
He's on the
ready
hunt.
to go.
What's funny though? I am learning to embrace Steph and John, who I am, and I am not the white party type of dude. Like, don't even invite me because I ain't got no all white. I'm gonna show up
and
in
it.
Tired
of buying
it. Yeah, so. I don't own all. I don't. I got a few T-shirts that are white, but they get worn out too quick, so I don't wear them.
So here's what I used to do.
Even the T-shirt I got on now ain't white.
Right.
So watch this.
Yeah.
Here's what I used to do. Going out in New York, this is a regular thing. I would go out, whatever I was wearing, I'd have on a pair of Air Force Ones. Go in the club, right? You're getting jacked up in the club. It's just gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
When I came outside, go in the trunk, pop the trunk, brand new pair. Take the ones off, throw them in the trash.
I'm not that guy.
No.
I was that dude.
You were that guy.
I was that dude.
You were that guy.
I was that dude.
Yeah.
I was that dude.
You strike me as
I'm
that
not,
dude.
I'm not surprised.
I'm the guy that you'll invite to an all-white party, and I'll show up in black sweats and the Yankees fitted and some Timbs.
Yeah, I will add some very significant splashes of color.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
And be like, what?
Oh, no. Listen, not only would I wear all white, but I would make sure I wore all white jewelry too.
Oh gosh.
You know that's the most light-skinnedest thing.
Because you had to, back in the day, you had to have. Back in the day, you needed daytime. Listen. Back in the day, you had to have daytime and nighttime jewelry. That's what New York was. That's what Brooklyn was. You had your yellow gold in the daytime or whatever, but at night you had your white gold or your platinum with your diamonds. That was night jewelry.
I don't know those people from Brooklyn. I know the people that had ashy ankles, and you knew they had ashy ankles because they wasn't wearing socks when they had on their Timbs. You know what I'm saying? And they was wearing saggy shorts.
You are clowning.
Yeah, but they didn't.
Saggy shorts.
But they didn't come. But they didn't go to
and white tees.
They
didn't go and white tees that have trailers like.
But they didn't go. But they didn't go to the parties, bro. They didn't go to the parties.
That ain't shade. I'm right there with you.
They didn't go to the parties.
The older I get, the more I embrace comfort. And it ain't comfortable to be trying to find all white clothes to wear.
Imagine how hard it was for me to find all white gaiters
Yeah. Gators?
and sandals. Because
How
I had the
about-
shoes and the
How
sandals.
about Air Force
That
Ones?
sounds so unattractive.
How about
It
Air
was
Force
wrong.
Ones or black Karachis? You know what I'm saying? You know,
Nah,
jeans,
nah. Jean in the
T-shirts.
summertime?
t-shirts.
In the summertime?
Yeah.
Nah, never pair of jeans. Past Memorial Day?
A pair. How about a pair of camouflage khaki shorts?
White and gray. Yeah, I did those.
Okay. Because I was just naming the stuff
White
that I
and
would
gray.
wear.
White and gray
Like,
with
if
the
you-
Gucci with the Gucci terry
Like
cloth bucket hat.
if you have a white party, I promise you, I will show up in my brown shirt and black sweats that I got on right now.
Nah, you gotta have you. If you watch, if you do the white and gray camouflage,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
With the Egyptian cotton tee and the
Egyptian cotton?
and the
That's different than Fruit of the Loom.
yeah, and the and the Gucci terry cloth fisherman bucket hat.
Now
Yeah,
that
you
I
was
can
killing
rock.
it. You was killing
The
it.
Yeah.
fisherman bucket hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I got like 3 of them. I do like those.
Yeah.
And whatnot. Those are like when you got on the right sunglasses, it's easy to like hide your eyes when you know you ain't got no Visine or nothing.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad. I'm so mad they stopped making the S. Carter sneakers. 'Cause those is my go-to with that
Yeah.
outfit.
You know, just saying you
God.
might need some Visine. That's what I'm saying.
How do we go here from the vaccine?
I
The
I'm back.
vaccine, the Visine.
That's
Vaccine.
him.
the
Because
It's his
vaccine.
listen,
fault.
this is
It's his
what
fault.
this is what happened. This is
Because
what
you
happened.
think that
We were
the
talking
vaccine
about-
is about your excitement
No,
level
we
of
were-
getting back out in these
No, we were
streets.
talking about things opening up, and about things opening up. We're talking about
I'm-
people opening up,
I
right?
get it.
and that's kind of like on the vibe that where we was on last week, where we're trying to come to this week a little bit, dealing with the way things are right now. Because post-pandemic, relationships have made significant changes, and dating has made significant changes. I mean, I'm no fan of Kevin Samuels, but he got brothers finding their value.
Yeah. See, I don't know a
You
lot.
sounded
about
like a
him.
little bit of a fan.
I don't know a lot about him, but
I don't like.
I don't
listen,
watch him because
I do
to
not
watch
care.
people
I do not
interaction.
care for him because I do not feel he's authentic.
Let me get this.
Right, so I don't care
let me
for
get
that.
this comment in. I want you to stay right there. Sean says, "Shout out to the spot on New York Undercover. That spot was dope because Gladys Knight was the house singer.
Valerie's or something, or
Something like that.
yeah, Cynthia's,
Some-
Valerie's. It was a woman's name.
It was a woman's
yeah.
name. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know much about this guy Kevin Samuels. I had a brother of mine try to tell me to check him out. Was telling me that he says good stuff and I should holler at him, and I had no interest because I don't. I don't want to listen to.
No, listen,
I don't wanna
you're
listen to-
not missing anything.
Well, let me say this. I don't really want to listen to a relationship guru. You know what I mean? Like
that ain't what he claims to be.
no, he's not. But that's the lane he's in. At least that's the
he calls
interpretation of.
He says he's
you
a
know.
dating guru and image consultant.
Right, image consultant. I
know.
don't know about dating guru. He's a
He says it.
dating furu. But
So
No,
so you guys
you shouldn't
clearly
have
seem to
to.
know a little more about this dude than I
I don't
do.
watch his videos because I don't like to be annoyed by people.
I have listened to a couple of his videos. I haven't gone all the way through anything. I haven't listened to him for more than 1 minute at a length of time.
So you got more in
His
than
problem.
I got.
His problem is you should not have to promote yourself by denigrating others.
True.
Right. So he calls himself exposing women on their ish, and doing so and trying to big up men in some kind of way or whatever the case. But it's like it's unnecessary. It's not necessary. He can make all the same points without trying to make women feel bad about themselves or whatever. So but he sometimes goes out of his way to do that, and it's not cool. But again, he's got a lot of people, a lot of guys. Well, women too. I don't know.
But not
Somebody told me that a lot
primarily.
of women that's calling in is set up, is what they're telling me. They're telling me because I was like, why do women keep calling him to get berated? And somebody recently said that I forgot who, but a comedian or something was like, those women are plants, he pays them to call in, and that's how it's going on. Because I don't see how you know what this guy's about, and you're gonna call in and just let him tear you apart like that. I don't get it. I don't see why they would do it. But what I will say is guys are looking at themselves differently now. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Differently how?
Yeah, but guys are like, yeah, so yeah, okay. I have some value. Because guys were not a lot of guys were not feeling like they had value. They were feeling like their acquisitions and their achievements were their value. That's all they had to bring to the table, and that would be
so the world you guys set up is getting to you.
I don't know if we set up, I don't know if I could join in that we set up, but I'll say this. The idea of having to buy your relationship is not as popular as it was.
What do you guys consider buying?
Well, here's the elephant in the room when it comes to relationships. Now, we used to do this. Author Charisma, who I miss, she's one of the original 7 of Legacy and Air Radio. And in our earliest incarnation of our business relationship, prior to her doing the Diva Diaries, we used to do what was called Love Revolutions, where we would go into bars and clubs on Saturdays prior to it getting ready to pop. And we would help them get the early crowd. So we would go in like 4 or 5 o'clock till like 7. And we would do what we are doing here. We would do relationships. We had topics that we would lead with, and we would build. I mean, at our peak, we had 30, 40, 50 people that would show up for this, which you get that many people to come out, talk about relationships, you might be on to something. So here's where I'm going. Here's the point. I think the elephant in the room of relationships, while it takes 2 to tango, I think it's difficult for folks to receive that there is an exchange that goes on in most relationships. And that exchange oftentimes doesn't feel good when you put words on it. When you say things like, hey, if I give you this, I expect that. You know what I mean? What does that look like? Well, it shouldn't mean if I take you out, I'm going to give you some. It shouldn't mean that. But if that's what it means to one person, the other person understands that, then who are we to get in the middle of that? You see what I'm saying? I think we oftentimes dip our noses and stuff that ain't got nothing to do with us. If it works for that relationship, then what we talking about? You know what I mean? We get caught up in often saying it's always the guy. It's not always the guy. It's not always the guy. We get caught up in calling them out their names because they may have upset us. Well, she's not that word, bro. What did you do to upset her? You know what I mean? So when you have somebody like this Kevin Samuels guy, who I don't know, who I don't listen to, and have very little information on what it is he does, all I can do, because I'm a natural moderate, I already said that, I realize that it takes 2 to tango. And look, I don't want to feel a way for having certain expectations for what we're doing in this date or this relationship. If I share those expectations with you and they don't fit on what you are prepared to do, then that's cool. But I should not be made to feel away because I got expectations. And that goes both ways. That goes both ways, because often when a man says these things, the assumption is there's an expectation of a physical connect at the end of the date. Maybe that's what the expectation is. Maybe it's not, but everybody knows there's a give and take in every relationship you in. You're not going to just
even marriages,
especially marriages, especially.
Because a lot of married women will get into the whole, you women out here dating for money because they feel like they've been chosen or there's some prize because they have a ring on their finger. But the fact of the matter is you're in an exchange. And I can say this because I've had the experience of being married. So you're in an exchange, and
it just looks different.
It just looks different.
Yeah.
It just
to certain people.
Different. And it feels different to you because you legitimized it with a ring or a piece of paper. But at the end of the day, don't sleep with your husband and see what happens, because the exchange is there. It's
Yeah.
implied.
It's right there. It's right there. It's
implied in the
right there for you.
contract.
You know, a lot of times, you know, you like to go out to eat. You like to go out and have a nice time. You like for the guy involved to spoil you, make you feel special, make you feel like a woman, to hold the door open for you, and all of those kinds of things. But then you want to feel away when he wants to have sex with you. I mean, we're built different, and our motives for why we do certain things are different. And I think
I would agree with that
we
part.
get caught up in throwing shade at the other side because we expect the other side to move and think like we do.
I do not disagree with that. I do not disagree with that. And I would say that that's a reflection of even like love languages. I was talking to someone, a dude recently, that was his love language was clearly physical touch. And for a woman, a lot of times that's a problem. It's like, you know, that seems like this is just what this person wants. They just want sex, you know, physical touch. But on the same token, and it's okay for somebody to hear that, oh yeah, physical touch is this person's love language, whether you're touching their hand or what have you. But if someone says, receiving gifts is my love language, then all of a sudden they're a gold digger. And so you're right. We judge what doesn't look like our type of hype, so to speak. You know, whatever we're not come to, it's like, that's not how I do this. Well, you know what? It doesn't, what works for other people may not work for
With the
you.
what's they call the goose and the gander thing?
Absolutely. And also it's $3.99 to mind your business.
Yeah, man, cost you nothing to pay me no mind.
Right.
You know,
right.
Getting a couple of hits in social media here. Sean says Kevin Samuels addressed the double standard that women often operate under, and pulls it to the forefront. Men providing, paying for everything, etc. The expectation, but then he exposes how there isn't much light given to what men can actually bring to the table, because said women are self-centered with no regard for much else but their own satisfaction. Wow, okay, that's something else.
A lot.
Arian,
I'm gonna let him have it.
Arian says Kevin normally says that's exactly what the high value in caps men are doing, buying the women they feel are valuable enough to be with them based in their looks. John replies, no, women are treating men as if they have no value or are only of material worth. So we got good dialogue going on here in social media. Keep it going, y'all. Keep it going. The phone number, if you want to be a part of this, is 804-402-2893. 804-402-2893, John.
Well, part of the situation, I feel, of the bigger issue has to deal with equality versus equity, and you know what it means to different people, right? So women want to be treated fairly and respected for their ability, and not based on their gender, right? As human beings, right? On the level of human dignity, right? The same as men treat men, and so on and so forth.
The same as people
treat people, right?
Yeah.
The problem is we lose something in translation when there is a definite format for the way men and women interact. It's not just two people. It's just not. There's a difference. If there's a romantic attraction and something going on, it's not just, you're not just two people dealing with each other. There are positions, there are formats, and there are things that should happen in a certain way. That doesn't in any way, in my opinion, belittle either of the people involved. But they're not the same. A woman is, I don't think a man should expect a woman to behave the way he behaves in the relationship, and vice versa, right? But then we get down that, we start going down that slippery slope of whether or not we are being chauvinistic, or whether the woman is being whatever the other word to that is, or too independent, if there's such a thing as that. I'm just trying to figure out the verbiage of what to say.
What is
Or
too
being too,
independent?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like too much of a feminist. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but there is a line, right? That's there that neither needs to cross, but there's roles that need to be accepted. Just my opinion.
Depending on the relationship.
Right. If it's in my opinion, and that's all it is. If it's a romantic relationship, right? Man, be a man. And don't expect your woman to be a man. And woman, be a woman. And don't expect your man to not be a man. And don't take it as he's trying to stunt your womanhood. If you got a man who wants to pay for everything, right? If you got a man who wants to open your door, if you have a man who wants to I don't know, whatever men do, when we do what we do, I think women should if that's your man, if y'all are in a romantic relationship, let him be a man.
But
that
I
don't mean that he doesn't
it.
put value on what you do.
Wait. So here's where you're conflating equity and equality.
Okay.
Right. So my expectation of equality, as I perceive myself as a human being, as an intellectual, as someone who can take care of certain things that I need to take care of in the workspace or in this world, it's simple equality. I want to be treated along the same. I want to be treated fairly, man to man, woman to woman. I don't want to make 60 cents to the dollar. That is an equality issue. Or I don't want men making decisions for my body when they don't even understand it. That is an equality issue. Women aren't making those decisions or laws for them. Equity in a relationship is a reflection of the standard that two people have within that relationship, and that they're maintaining that balance and both putting in equally the balance they agreed to. So that could mean that my man may not make as much money as me. I mean, let's be real. Half the time when I hear these conversations like Kevin Samuels and the guys who jump in there going, oh, they want me for my money, they're forgetting that the average income for Black men weekly is $814. We're not killing the game, sir. Calm it down. So that being said, it is typically that's not what most of us are in this for. My thing is this: you can pay for whatever you want if we're in that kind of relationship. And I am happy to cook your meals. That has nothing to do with whether you're going to open the door for me. Has nothing to do with whether I should be paid equal. I mean, and I really need to be clear on that. Equality and equity are very different. And when we're in a relationship, if I'm making more than you and it just so happens that I've committed to that, I'm okay with that. That has nothing to do with how I'm going to treat you or interact with you. That's the agreement that the two of us made. However, the standard of what men make and what men are expected to make and all of that. The interesting thing is, the irony of it all is women aren't setting those standards. That's why we make 60 cents to a dollar as Black women, or 70 cents as white women, or 55 cents as Hispanic or Latina women. Women don't set those standards. Why do rap videos consistently talk about money and hoes and cars and everything else? That's not a standard being set by us. Y'all flex for each other more than you flex for us. And now, are there women that are specifically tied to an identification of wealth and success as what they want their partner to look like? Absolutely. Are there men that are tied specifically to how a woman looks as an identification for who their partner is? Absolutely. I just think that for the most part, most men are not going to bump into or don't anticipate that a woman is making more money than them. So that's not where they weight the average. They weight the average on things that women in society are ranked by: appearance, dress size, stupid things like that. And then if you look at how women date, they are ranking and looking at men on the basis of how men set themselves up in society, because society is patriarchal. That is why the bra wasn't created for women. Women don't want to walk around in this thing. So you have to be fair and acknowledge
That's
that.
how come y'all snatch it off as soon as you get to the crib.
The minute you get in the house, but you have to be honest and say that it's the way that society has set it up. So when you get into those relationships that are into a relationship that is meant for you, you should be making a decision about what's comfortable for you and your partner. And if it's that you're okay with a partner that makes less money than you, okay, that's not where you're putting his value in your relationship. Cool. I'm okay with that.
Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. Let me get a couple of comments in from social media. We've got our guest that is going to join us here in just a moment. Let's see. Arian says his values are based on dollars. That's his issue. Sean says, I don't think his values are based on dollars. He exposes how men are targeted or discarded based on economic worth. Meanwhile, said women don't have economic worth to match that, but have expectations of men taking care of them, and the costs
unattractive men
are
that want
ridiculous.
Beautiful women.
Arian,
the balance.
Hold on, let me finish this, y'all. Arian says, I've seen him tear these women down because of their looks, and she said she made about $150K a year, but she wasn't a 10, so didn't deserve the high value men. Sean says that's not what Kevin Samuel even talking about. He's focused on women that demand men of what means and don't have anything to offer or contribute, but have outrageous expectations. The problem is there aren't relationships, but are based on these crazy social standards. Ain't no how to step on Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. That's all crazy stuff, but I will go ahead and move forward. We've got our very, very, very special guest. She is joining us. You guys should be able to see our sister Firestorm joining us there. Can you hear us, sis?
I can. Can you guys hear me
Hey,
okay?
how you doing?
I'm well. How are you all doing?
I got you here. Where am I at? I can't even see myself.
Yeah,
Did I take up too much screen?
Nah,
we're good. We're just gonna make adjustments.
I'm gonna play with it a little bit. We'll make it pop. So, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm doing really good.
We're very glad to have you with us today on the show.
Happy to be here.
And we are definitely looking forward to it. Why don't you start off? Tell us who you are. Tell us how dope you are, what you do, and
Sure.
We'll get into some topics here.
So my name is Firestorm, and I currently am the host of 2 shows. The first show is Fire's Playhouse, where I interview creatives. We talk about pop culture, politics, music, things like that. And then my other show is it's called Pillow Talk, Tuesday nights at 11 p.m. on social media. And we talk about all things love and sex. Pillow Talk. Love and sex, relationships, all that good, juicy stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So I heard you all talking about relationships.
Yeah, we were getting into the whole kind of feeding off the Kevin Samuels thing and where he's going with it, and the difference with expectations of women to men and men to women, and men. We really kind of got into it with I was saying that some men are now realizing that they have value, because of the term high value men.
A man always has value. I think the most important thing is women need to let a man be a man, right? Need to let a man be a man. Let a man do what men are supposed to do.
What does that mean? I mean, I have my ideas about that, and my opinions about that, and I think I have an idea of where you're going, but I'm not going to presume to assume. So I'd like you to tell us what you mean by let a man be a man.
Well, let a man be the protector, right? A woman is the nurturer. Let a man be the protector. Let a man, hold the door open for you. It's not always about money, right? It's not always about letting a man take care of you. I believe in partnership. I'm okay with 50-50. Right? That's okay. But, let a man be a man. Let a man lead you. There are things that us women, we can't do. I know I can't. Right. So, like fixing things around the house.
There are some women that can do that.
What'd you say?
I said there are some women that can do that. There are some women that's the setup that they have in their home with their man, with their partner. I've dated men who were much more intellectually driven than they were driven around the household, directors of IT and things like that. And, if we want something fixed around the house, I'm calling someone, on the other, Apple Brown Betty, she fixes everything. She don't need that's not what she's seeking in her partner. I think, sometimes
But then there's balance. It balances
I was
itself
just going to
off
say that
some
it's
way,
about
somehow.
balance.
And that's okay too. That's fine too, right? Maybe he can't fix things around the house, but maybe he has the money to say, hey, I'm gonna pay to have this fixed. That's okay. 3 types of currency: time, knowledge, and the other one is money. 3 types of currency.
I got a comment in from social media. I'd like the ladies to respond to this. I would like you to respond first, and then Steph afterwards. Our brother Bobby says, first of all, Bobby, my man. But real men don't rate their women based on what society governs. My queen is truly my down ass chick because we stay in our lane. I don't tell her how sexy to dress, and she doesn't tell me how to be a strong man, period. I'd like for you both to comment on that. There's a brother saying this.
Okay, well, yep. So some men like to have input on what their woman wears. That's okay. Maybe he doesn't like cleavage out all the time. Maybe he doesn't like form-fitting dresses. That's okay. Like, there's a time and a place. But having a woman can help, shape a man in terms of maybe getting him to a level that he just can't see, right? Because there are some women who are project managers, right? They come into a relationship, they see greatness, but this man may not know how to execute. She does. So I think that's okay.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Steph? He's basically saying, live and let live is how I interpret what Bobby's saying. I ain't trying to tell her what to do. She ain't trying to tell me what to do, is what I interpret what he's saying. What's your thoughts?
I respect that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that, people walk into things with these cliche statements about, in his case, he's basically saying my woman doesn't have to let me be a man. I am one.
Right.
And I identify with that. I respect a man who is aware of himself and a woman telling him something he knows is not going to remove his masculinity,
Right.
And I think there's also an element of, again, partners set their relationships up the way it fits for them.
Right.
If you want to date a man who tells you how to dress and thinks he knows better than you on how you should present yourself, and you feel you need that guidance, then I say go for it.
Right.
But if you're a woman that's self-assured and comfortable and says, I don't necessarily need him to interject or tell me, I know when I should dress a certain way, I know when I should be in corporate attire, so on and so forth, then I think that you would pick a different man.
Now,
find the balance.
I would
pick
agree.
the right partner.
I would agree with that. And before, John, I want you to comment first, and then I'll get the ladies on this next comment that Reynaldo has said, because depending on your perspective, this may rile up some folks. But he says, real simple: women chase money, men chase the
cookie.
The cookie. So John, you up first on that one, and then I'll bring the ladies back.
I think in today's society, that's dead and gone. I don't think. I think, in being someone who has recently been on the dating scene, the women are chasing the stuff. They not even chasing the money right now. It seems like they.
Oh, that's Rona. That's because of Rona.
It seems like to me,
stuff, right?
It's
stuff.
It seems like to me, and this is just me,
Rona,
like a great majority of women have gotten their bag. That's their thing. They got their own bag. They're not worried about it.
Yeah, y'all don't want us to get it. You don't want to get it for us.
They wanna now. They want to know what you're working with and how good you got it going on. They want to deal with you and then not deal with you on their own terms. The only problem with that, in my opinion, is it sounds good on a soundbite, right? But women are receivers, right? They take on, right? They take on energy, right? And the way a man can discard a woman, I do not believe that women share that same ability to discard men. So it's different when you just out here chasing, to me, in my opinion, as a woman, you just out here chasing some stuff and you juggling 4 or 5 different guys and you got these different sexual partners. You're receiving them. You're receiving that energy all the time. So after a while, mentally and emotionally, I think it wears down differently for men than it does for women. The way men just discard women after a sexual situation, I think is different. I think it's different.
All right. So both of the ladies seem to have the same body language.
I'm sorry.
One is in a whole different state.
No,
than
listen,
and the other one is sitting next to me. So
these are
who wants
different
to first?
times.
Who want to
These are
correct?
different times, right? Yeah, women are catching their coins and they are, running households, alone, and they are empowering themselves to get what they need, right? To get what they need, get what they want, and then that's it. And that's okay, right? So we don't need to follow the traditional type of relationship. We can do a la carte. I need this from him, that from him, and I'm good. Right? Because at night you go to sleep in your bed, there's no drama. You don't have so that's okay for women to do that, just like men.
Chilling. Yes.
Living peacefully.
Doesn't go over very well when we do that.
Yeah, but no. Listen, no. Actually, it does. Hold on. I want to do one thing. Give it to you, sir. Actually, that's the thing, right? That's the thing. Whether or not women, again, like I said, it sounds good, right? But is it sustainable, right? I believe actually that we don't all need to be monogamous. However, I do believe
except
that
women.
No.
Okay.
I said we all, men and women. However, I do believe that emotionally, right, you need to be able to tie into someone who you can share and care with over a lifetime, right? Especially if you understand that when you having sex, you playing the lotto, right? And you don't play the lotto with the expectation of not winning. You play with winning. So you're going to mess around and have some kids, right? And then you got to deal with that too. So you really need to think about the consequences of your actions. This is men and women. Men especially, because I'm talking to men. I can't speak for women. I don't have that experience.
Well, you just did,
but as
and
I'm
waiting to speak about it.
Wait, as a man, you need to think about what you're doing, right? Before you do it. Think about who you're doing it with before you do it. Then at the same time, what my point was before was that, again, to me, it is a different emotional reaction to having someone or multiple people physically in your space the way that women would have multiple sex partners in their space. I think it's different for women than it is for men. I could be wrong.
You're wrong.
All right, but I
Thank
know
you,
a few
sis.
biologists who say I'm not.
Get them, sis. Get them.
I think one.
We can go.
No, one, you made a very profound, true statement, which should have ended everything else, which is you have not received, as you like to put it, right? So since you haven't, you don't know, and therefore shouldn't speak for women. But if I'm gonna really address this, that's Hotep logic, John.
No,
That
that's
John,
biological
hold
fact.
on. This
It's
is
biological
hold
fact.
on.
We can get a physician in here,
yeah,
OBGYN, and
no,
they'll tell
we're not
you.
calling
Hold
Dr.
on, hold on,
CB
let
and
her
all these
finish.
other
Let her
crazy.
No,
finish.
not Dr. CB. I said
He's dead.
about
Hold on.
OBGYN.
Pause.
Will tell you.
Hold on, let her finish. Let her
Pause.
finish.
So there is this automatic.
Please don't
it's
call
like,
him.
It's like the I won't. Trust me, I definitely won't. It's like there's this automatic assumption that having a vagina immediately means that I'm nurturing and connected and loving and this. That is not an endemic. It's not an endemic thing simply because you're born female or identify cis hetero as female. It's not endemic. Some women have no interest in children, don't ever want to have them, don't have that feeling about it. And there are women that legitimately move through life in a space of where they're not looking for a monogamous connection, They are not all tied to that energy and everything else. They simply are viewing sex the way they want to view sex, which is a temporary connection that they let go of. You cannot make the assumption that every single woman, because that is this by nature that women, well, I mean, the way you say it is women receive, and you know what? Come on, get off that.
That's not every single woman. Exceptions prove the rule.
Well, I'm just going to say you can't make the overarching statement that women, because we're receivers. Because the other element of that too is that, yeah, in this day and age, there are just as, it's ironic. You have men on one side who are like, yeah, all they want is money, and then you have, now all they want is, well, what do y'all think we want? You don't know. That's the real point. You don't know.
Do y'all know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
If you come, absolutely. I am willing. For me personally, I look at anything that requires a monogamous long-term commitment now, at this stage in my life, at this age, anything that requires that, I know it's also going to require a significant amount of effort from two people. And when I look at that level of effort, I have to determine that probably 90% of the people that I come across, and it's not because of where I am and what I do, because I work corporately, I own my own business, so I can meet tons of people, Black, white, Asian, whatever. It comes down to the fact that 90% of the time, it's just not a match. There may be a physical engagement or a physical connection, and it may not even be that intimate. It may be satisfaction and move on. And I do think you get to a certain age where, one, you don't have a lot of time and energy to be doing this with 50 million people. That's not the interest. However, you also don't want to have to invest the time and energy in starting and restarting and starting again. So there are women who are self-actualized, who are capable, who are smart, who are, yes, getting in the bag or whatever, who are also very comfortable saying, I'm not interested in a long-term intimate partner until I meet the person that I know for sure qualifies and won't require me to have to jump through a bunch of hoops just to make that happen.
Right, I can dig that. Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J, live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. I want to get your comment on this, but before I do that, let me get a couple of comments, and I'm reading here from social media. Sean says it was never okay for men or women to do that, and spiritually people are paying for it. Sex was never meant to be a sport. Reynaldo says, John, you're right. In this half-past COVID era, it's a lot of women looking to get tightened up, right? Oh, Lord have mercy, y'all killing me. They'll start worrying about Marcus, the money afterwards. Sean, women want everything. No, because I say fuck and all kinds of stuff, and my mom is listening. Yeah. So I, if mom's listening,
want
she gonna hear me.
Though.
But what my reaction, Fire, was, what you should probably know about me is I'm a natural moderate. I'm a moderate. I used to host seminars and on this topic, and I've always found myself playing in the middle when it comes to this because, dudes are stupid. We just are, but y'all shady too. And I think where we run into a problem is we spend so much time doing this, and we don't realize there's four fingers pointing back at us when we do that. And that comes from the men and that comes from the women. And I don't like it when we do the whole, well, as a man, what I think about a woman, it doesn't matter what you think. Like The Rock said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think, bruh. It just doesn't. And sisters, y'all think y'all know us.
We can be.
This is where I will be real transparent. Most men, at least the men that I know, who I commiserate and fuss about y'all with, we're simple. We want to have sex. We want to eat. We want to be left alone when the game is on. If we smoke weed, we want to smoke our weed, watch the game, and play with our kids. I mean, really. So
that last one's subjective.
It depends on them brothers, right? I got you.
No, but what I'm saying, life, they do.
But what I'm saying is, that's coming from one man who is a man who spends a lot of time with men. I don't spend a lot of time with women. I don't know what motivates y'all. I need y'all to tell me what motivates y'all. So, having heard all of that, Fire, there's a lot that has been said since the last time you rocked the mic. I'd like to hear your comment on what's going on here.
She frozen.
Fire, you still there?
I think she froze.
She froze up on us. All right, ain't
She'll
no
pop
half
back
stepping.
in a minute.
Ain't no half
Yeah.
stepping with Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy Internet Radio. John, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah,
This is a space for you. Go ahead.
My thing is, right, I understand that they're different. Women are not women. Y'all all individuals, and y'all have different ways of doing things. But in the aspect of not creating an unnecessary argument, right? If you were to survey 100,000 women, right? Better than 65% of those women will fall into a category that's more towards monogamous relationship, one man who's going to love them and cherish them the rest of their life. They buy into the Western civilization ideology of love, marriage, picket fence, 2.5 kids, and a dog, right? So when I say these things, I'm speaking in that regard. And what has happened and what I've seen happening is that now women are making more aggressive strides in relationships towards how they want to act and how they want to be treated. The problem is that's good 20 something, maybe even 30 something, but then it comes back around at 40 something or 50 something, and it's like, did I make a mistake? Like, a lot of women are waiting to have children. A lot of women are trying to set their lives up first before marriage. And then now I see forums and I talk to women and I see different things and I hear a lot of regrets and stuff. It is not the case for everyone, but I'm saying these are the kind of things that seem to be coming about in today's society.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J. I don't know how much you missed. We were trying to throw it to you. And we had a little technical thing, but we got you back. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. And going off of what you just said, like, I think it's sad. It's really sad that women, get to a certain age and they look back and they have regrets, right? It's so important to do what makes you happy, right? What makes you happy may not be the traditional house, husband and 2.5 kids, right? It may be getting that child, right? And then carrying that child along while you go out for corporate success or whatever type of success, entrepreneurial success. It's so important to do what makes you happy because life is short and we don't get a second chance at this. So you live your life with no regrets. And that's so important from this day forward that people learn to live for themselves to be happy.
I can't disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean that's the key. I think the happiness thing is super important, and we spend so much time in these fights and these debates with each other with the opposite sex. Like, shout out to Ronaldo. He's saying that I'm preaching to nothing but the gospel. I'm speaking my truth. Like, as a man, I consider myself a simple dude. You know what I mean? And I don't ask for a whole lot. And my guess is that a sister would say similar things. I don't ask for a lot. These are the things that I want. Those are the things that you want. They don't feel like a lot to you. And I don't presume to know because I'm not a woman. You know what I mean? I know what I think about what y'all want. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I think. You know what I mean? Because it's your truth. And so while I'm in it, for me, I need to respect that if I want to have harmony with you as my woman, then I can't just be worrying about what's important to me. And I think that's where we run into a disconnect. And that happens with men and that happens with women. And it's frustrating for me because, again, I say this all the time. I'm a natural moderate. I'm someone who wants harmony. I don't want to fight. I want to fight about this. I don't want to fight about this because remember what I said to you. I want to have me some sex. I want to eat. I want to watch the game in peace. Like, don't try to give me none when the game is on. You whack for that. You real whack for that. Because you could game become
well, that's
the full game on. And if they won, I'm going to really want to bust this off. And if they lost, I'm going to really want to bust this off. You know what I mean? So this is where the simple part comes. You see what I'm saying? And I'm being crass in jest. But the reality is this is how many of us think. And I'm speaking for us. What I'm not going to do is speak for the sister. So Fire, speak for the sister.
Yeah, so that's the thing about attention, right? But I think, ladies, there's a way to compromise, right? You can take care of him while he watches the game.
No, you can't.
No, you can't.
No, you can't.
Not
Yeah,
somebody that's into the game.
See again. All right, so let me give you an example, Fire, of why this ain't cool, right?
So you would turn down a blowjob while the Knicks
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Depends
And
on who's playing.
No, it doesn't. Not for me, it
For
doesn't.
me, it does.
Let me give you. Let me give
For me, it does.
Let me give you.
Like,
Let me
here's
give
some
you.
yes.
Let me give you a perfect example. Let me give you a perfect real life example. Right.
I'm nervous.
Yesterday,
What is this?
the
Where's
New
this
York
going?
Knicks played in their first playoff game in 8 years.
Yes, sir.
Right. And I've been a Knicks fan since the early 80s. I predate Patrick Ewing and my Knicks fanship, and they won their last chip the year before I was born. I've been hearing about the party my parents had for my entire almost 47 years of life. I want my own chip. And what I don't want is someone who I can see any day of the year in my face for that 2.5 hour period when I'm watching their first playoff game in 8 years. It ain't about you. Don't make it about you. And that's where we run into a problem, because what's the matter? You don't want me? No, it's not about I don't want you, but you being selfish right now. You want the attention that's not yours.
I don't
when
think
they
there's ever a
lost,
bad
though.
time.
When they
Say that
lost,
again.
when they lost, she should have been there to take care of you.
Well, that's a whole different thing, though.
Okay, so
thing.
here's my thing.
That's a different thing.
I
I like that.
I gotta slightly disagree with Marcus. There's never a bad time.
Yes, there
for a
is.
Thank
blowjob.
you.
Yes, there is.
Never, ever, never, ever,
When
ever.
the game is on,
Never
it's
is
bad
there.
time.
Never is there
It
a
is.
bad time for a blowjob.
Yeah, it
But
is.
there are better times.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a bad time. Like people tell me all the time. It's like, when people talk about sex, when I say I don't know about a woman whose sex is bad. I know some women whose sex is better, but bad.
Nah, they could be whack too.
Okay, I
Don't even do that.
I
They
don't know
could be
about,
whack too. Don't do that.
They
And you know,
hold on. As individuals, listen. Wait. Let me explain what I'm saying.
You're pandering.
I'm not trying. I'm trying to be discreet in what I'm saying.
Yeah, you pandering.
As an individual, they may not be good in performances.
As quick as they are
But
to
what
tell us we
stop,
whack,
wait,
they could be
wait.
whack too.
This is what I'm saying, Marcus. I'm saying not them in their performance. I'm talking about the actual cookie.
I hear
There are no bad cookies.
Yeah, they are.
Right? There are cookies that are better than others. Listen, I've been alive a long time and I done seen quite a few, and I ain't never seen one that was bad.
And
I've seen some that are better, but I ain't never seen one that's bad.
Let me get this.
I want to finish, but get that.
Let me get this comment, and you're giving them way too much power by telling them that.
It's the truth.
Sean says, I'm feel like though there are some solid points in this convo, most of which I hear across the circles. There's eggshell conversation, too much tiptoeing versus I see and hear. I see elder women high-fiving the need for a rich brother, good in bed, younger women high-fiving how independent they are, yet want a man to take care of bills, rent, etc. Meanwhile, men talking about women with attitude, never satisfied, demanding. I don't know how you getting tiptoeing from. I mean, I get your comment, but I don't see how you see us tiptoeing. The inspiration of Legacy Internet Radio, my brother, partner, and friend, Jay Grizzly Green is checking in, and he is saying, I know Marcus J, a diehard Knick fan, but I call BS on the BJ.
Okay, so your friends are calling.
Yeah, I mean, but the reality is, I really would. Especially last night.
So here's my point with this, though, right?
That's
this goes back to it, right? I am so cool with women who are sexually aggressive and know what they want sexually. I don't have a problem with that, right? But men can't afford to be sexually aggressive in today's day and age, right? Because Me Too will bury you, right? So now we have a odd playing field that people are not used to, right? And things are going on. Like, I cannot tell you how many inappropriate picture requests I get online, right? That is a thing now. And the women are just like, they do not care at all. And they going in on it. But see, here goes the problem. Now, if I turn around and say something out the way about it, or aggressively make my point, then it's like, oh, I'm gonna get buried. I'm gonna get Bill Cosby to R. Kelly out here.
I see you nodding fire. First of all, my brother Bobby is saying, Marcus, you are so right. When your team is a playoff, you need to respect your space during that time. Period. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But
Still gonna
fire,
agree with Jay.
I see. Yeah, well, I got two brothers that know me.
That's
You know, the one that knows me the best.
I believe Marcus when he's saying it.
Yeah,
I believe
I think that
Marcus,
most
but
men
I
would
think
not.
I'm right.
I promise you, I'm gonna need you to get the hell away from me when the game is like I'm supposed to see when I say that. Fire, but are you laughing at me right
I'm
now?
laughing. I don't think it's true, but
She's
whatever.
laughing at me.
She said
You're
no.
you're not. She doesn't know you well
Yo,
enough to know how true it is, and you're not gonna be able to convince her.
Man, I feel
Fire. He's not lying. I know him well.
I feel it so strong.
But he's an odd person.
I feel it so strong in my spirit. Okay. I love the cat as much as the next man, but all I need is 2.5 hours. Stay away from me, unless you sitting there with blue and orange with me. Real.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Girl, but can we go back to his comment? Like,
yes,
these
please.
are very sensitive times, right?
Please,
and you are so right about that. Like, there are females they're really, I mean, social media, right? It's you got butts and boobies everywhere. More butts than boobies, I think, but I could be wrong. I mean, across all social media, right? They're twerking and they're popping pussies and all this other stuff, and they're sending pictures. And you're right. I mean, for you to complain, it will make you look a certain way, and that's sad. That is really sad. Really is sad.
So yeah, that's part of the thing.
Double standards.
Trying to find a space in relationships. Trying to find a space. This is what it comes down to. Trying to find a space to create a relationship in this mess that we're dealing with, especially post-pandemic, because everything went online, right? We took away a lot of the one-on-one contact, right? Dating sites blew up. They increased like 2,000% in participation. And now it's the thing. Everything is online now. And it's like, I don't want to live online. I want to live in real life. We were talking about this earlier. I want to go out. I want to see people. I have people, a person I'm romantically involved with currently, and that's cool, right? But I want to go out and see people. I'm not saying I want to go out and have sex with people, but I want to go out and see people. I want to experience stuff. Like, Marcus and I and another brother Bob, we hang out, once a week, and we just go, and it's not like we, hitting women over the head and dragging them, but we going around and we hanging out and we seeing people, and I can appreciate a beautiful woman, right? And look at her and appreciate the time she took to put her ensemble together and do her hair and all that, and have an appreciation for it. And that's missing. But people are not, it seems to me like people are not trying to get that one-on-one anymore. Now it's just everything is online. Like, even when you go places, people spend more time on their phone in a venue, right? Than they do dealing with the people that's in the venue with them. So, I mean, that's my thing. How do we balance that in post-pandemic as far as establishing relationships, dealing with this new idea of, new to me anyway, the idea that the woman is going to be the sexual aggressor, and being accepting of it and not being able to, and that's another thing, you can't say anything, because then if you say something or you express some kind of dislike, or you don't agree with the way she's doing what she's doing, then you're being toxic, right? That's toxic masculinity. This is what I'm talking about. If a woman is being sexually aggressive, right, and I don't agree with it, and I speak to it, then it's like, oh, you trying to shut me down. You trying to speak.
And if she feels that way, then that's her problem, because that's not that is a human issue. Like, if you don't understand what boundaries are, I don't care what gender you are, you got a problem.
Yeah, but who's to say what the boundaries are? Like, if that woman,
everybody gets to determine what their boundaries are for their individual person. So if I'm coming on to you and you don't like it, your boundary is one that you can speak on. Yo, I'm good on you. Stay away. Don't touch me. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, you're entitled to that. I don't know what that has to do with toxic masculinity.
Because when you say that,
in the same ballpark.
I'm gonna tell you
why. It's like
people
saying it's this false thing that's come up with Me Too. It's like, if I just say something to a woman, I'm like, are you out here sexually harassing and aggressing against women? Are you raping women? No, you're not. There is a big difference between what's happening with things like Me Too and what's happening with this.
I don't think
so
it's a
I
big
don't like the
difference.
false equivocation, because it immediately demeans the fact that there's a reason Me Too came about. Number one, we're not going to go off on that tangent, but there's a reason, and it's not because somebody was politely approaching you in a club and saying whatever. And to the same token, if you feel like a woman is being overly aggressive with you and it's not something you want, this had nothing to do with toxic masculinity to just point blank say, I'm not interested. There's nothing wrong with that. And if someone is saying something is wrong with that, they are not a part of what the mainstream meanings of all of those things are.
Let's take it to the club, right? Let's take it to the club. You're out at a club and you're dancing, right? And she turns around and she has a butt on you, and so now something's very happy, right? And is that considered aggressive?
No, that's not
being sexually aggressive
to some
towards
people.
her.
To some people it is, right?
Yeah.
And to some people it isn't. But here's what I'm got a problem with, right? If you set this, if you're gonna set the standard, right, then I gotta be able to either engage or decline without fear of,
or you can walk away
of being right. But I should be able to do that without fear of being denigrated or charged with a crime for the opposite thing. Right. So if a woman turns around and she's getting on you and things are getting happy and you might going to get into it a little bit. Then the woman gets to determine, no, that's too much.
Yeah.
Right.
Does.
And that's cool if she say that's too much and then you back up. But then for her to say
too much for you.
Well, wait, no. For her to say, no, you doing too much. And a matter of fact, you did too much, and I felt like I was assaulted, and I'm going to now press charges against you.
Make things so extreme.
Listen.
Just
no,
stay
but
home,
you know why?
John.
No, you know why?
But that's a little too much.
No, here's the problem. Here's the problem. People y'all are acting like it doesn't. Listen, well, I'm sitting here conversing with two reasonable, intelligent women. And y'all are acting like the stuff I'm talking about doesn't happen. That's not fair. That is not fair. This kind of stuff happens. Women will falsely accuse men, or not say false. Stop. Not false. Not false. This is why we go in relationship to that. I'm not going to say falsely accusing, because if that's how she feel, that's how she feel. But what I'm saying is, there's situations often that don't require a police report of a sexual violation.
Let me jump in here.
It happens.
Let me jump in here for a minute. The reason why I'm going to jump in is because that's extreme and not as prevalent as the conversation warrants us having.
Okay.
I don't think it happened.
Because you know why men don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. Just like we don't talk about men who are physically abused in relationships.
I'm not going to play victim.
It's not about playing victim.
It is.
But here's what I'm saying.
In the context of this conversation, that's some victim shit.
It's not some victim shit. Let me tell you why. If we are engaged in any kind of confrontation, if you're armed and I'm unarmed, it's not fair. And that's what it comes down to. This is the kind of situation
I'm gonna tell you, you know what you sound like right now? You sound like them white folks that talk about reverse racism.
No, this is not reverse. No, this is not.
Listen,
no, this is not reverse racism, right?
That's what it sounds like to me.
Okay, no, it's not. I'm gonna tell you why it's not reverse racism. Because if I'm in a situation, like I said, if you're gonna, if a situation arises where I should not be the person who has to give the I should have the benefit of the doubt. I shouldn't have to prove innocence.
So I want to know.
Can we double back?
I want to know what the ladies think.
Can we double back to where we started?
Go ahead.
So with the, we were talking about social media. You were talking about images and things like that. So I'll say this. It can't be both, right? You can't be liking pictures of females twerking and, putting, love emojis under the pictures and, trying to DM all the girls with their asses out. But then when you get the picture they're sending you pictures of their ass or whatever they're sending these days. I don't know. You can't get offended by that. I know that they do it. A lot of women do it. They are seeking attention, and it really is just about, hey, join my OnlyFans, right? They're looking for clients, right? But when you do get these type of pictures, I think you have to, if you're gonna be offended by the pictures, then you can't be out there liking and emojiing the same content that they give to the public.
Right. But I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if you're sending me the pictures, right, and you send me a picture and I happen to not like the picture and I say something about it, don't then turn around and tell me I'm being toxic or mean.
Well, that's rejection.
We started this. You started the situation. So if you start the situation and I put an end to it, that I don't need to be dragged about it because I said you was whack or I said something about the way you looked that I didn't like. You
it's rejection.
You open yourself up for criticism.
How about say nothing? How about not open it?
But see, again, here we are. We're in a situation, right? And I have to do it this way, right? I can't do it that way, right? So you're sending me a picture unsolicited, right? Let's say I like 1, 2, 3. Picture number 4 comes on, and I go, "Oh, you're whack, or you're ugly, or whatever the case is," which I'm not gonna do. I'm not speaking about me personally.
Okay.
I'm saying, but it happens, right? So now this guy now is the worst person in the world. He's a toxic male. He's doing all kind of crazy stuff.
But he liked 3 out of 4.
You reject that picture?
I didn't say it was the only way. But what I'm saying,
like the angle.
But if he did, right? If he did reject that picture in that way, he shouldn't have to be dragged for doing so because he didn't initiate it.
So he got the picture and then he chose what his behavior and reaction was, but he should not have to be accountable for his reaction.
No, his accountability should be between him and her. When you start bringing other people into it in situations,
but that's the problem with how things are.
And guess so again,
determine who she tells, or just like I don't get to determine when I send that's one reason why I tell people you have to be careful who you're sending pictures to and things like that. Not because I have any judgment of a woman that's choosing to do that. If she so chooses, there's some shit I'm doing that she probably wouldn't do. And so when I hear women sitting around, casting dispersions and the pick-me's of the world who want to be seen as a better version because they don't do that. You do something that sister doesn't do that makes you just as flawed, and I'll call you out for that. Now, if you're one of those women that so choose to do that, I often say to people, I have control over very few things, and that's in my world. It's even in my professional life. It's what I do, how often I do it, what I say. So if I say something or do something, I send that picture to you. Now it's out of my control. I would say this to my 23-year-old daughter. If you send a nude picture to a man, it's now out of your realm of control. Do you have ways that you can go back and try to get retribution? Absolutely. But why put yourself in that position with someone that you have no control what they're going to do with that picture? Now, what I think the problem for me with this conversation is we have gone to things that are so extreme. It's almost like when the oppressor wants to be the oppressed so badly, wants to be the victim so badly. For the most part, that is not what is happening in the dating world in regard to pictures. People are exchanging these things, men and women. Men go to the club, women go to the club, women dance on men. They have certain feelings, what have you. And most of the time, if a woman doesn't want that engagement, she's either going to walk away. She might throw some choice words your way, but you also have the option just to walk away. It's gone so extreme in what happens that it almost becomes to a point where now the conversation is unreal because it's not statistically believable. It's not what typically happens. And just because it's like, it would be like, yeah, that one time this white man was lynched for being white in his little community. Stop it. So my thing is this. If you think that for the most part, women are going to reject or then turn it into a Me Too or a toxic crisis, maybe just not get that close to any women. Because I can't see it.
Ain't no hashtag paperwork. Live from New Den Legacy in that radio. Let me reset.
I got contracts.
804-402-2893 is the number to dial. I know there are folks that are watching and listening, and we got a great conversation. Most of you guys are just listening or putting your comments in social media, like my brother Sean. Sean says, that's my point, John, the tiptoeing point I made. I get in hundreds of convos where it's always not the woman I'm talking to in the moment, which I respect here with these ladies, but this is not a legit sampling of the market, so to speak. I just think that's an outrageous comment. Just simply because
I can't block him.
I just think that's outrageous
Can get
because,
that.
and I know Sean, and Sean knows me, so he's not going to take that personally, but I just think that when we are having these conversations, we're better suited to speak generally. When we start talking about these extremes on either side, that's when you get into trouble because you don't know every situation. And the worst case scenario, she put her ass on you, and what do we say? She put her ass on you
While you were
and
dancing,
while
and
you
you
were
got a little
dancing,
excited.
and now there's police being
Police
called.
involved,
Really?
yeah.
I mean, like,
It's not
like,
really.
I mean, it just sounds crazy to me. And Sean says to fire, I'm that dude. It's getting overwhelming, a bit disgusting, and far too commonplace. Even the average non-IG model is still showing her goodies. I'm wife-minded at 45 and do reject it, but not subscribing, scrolling by, and not encouraging it myself. And
Good.
I'm a hairstylist and a photographer. Fire, I'd like you to
Nice.
comment on that.
Very nice. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think you'd be surprised. Guys complain about it, but yet they're still supporting them. There's a reason why there's so many females doing that. There's a reason why, right? Because they have an audience that's going like this, that's going
Absolutely.
like that, right? And that's why it's the average young lady, the average older woman, they're all doing it for money.
Yeah. Ain't no
And
half
it's not
step
a
on
lot
market.
of money.
Well, I mean, you look.
That's a relative term.
And you
Well,
see.
I mean, right, true. But what I'm saying is it's easy money. It's easy
Yeah.
money because that in-person experience has been removed. Everybody's
Yeah.
all pent up. There's this pent up energy.
Can't go to
People want to
strip
see
club.
something.
Oh, you can. Strip club stayed open during
You can't go
pandemic.
to
I
strip
was
club.
shocked.
Well,
So we
but
Even with
Rona's there
masks.
too. Rona's on that pole too.
Yeah, exactly. We getting some love from one of our favorite listeners who's late to the party. She's telling us good morning, so we will respond as we do every single week to our favorite listener. Good morning, Sue. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. All right, so listen, as we move towards a close here, Fire, I want to get from you just kind of a recap on your thoughts on just what we've been talking about tonight, because it in my opinion, we just too adversarial, men, women, brothers, sisters. I think we find too many areas to fight one another when we should be spending that time and that energy finding common ground, because at the end of the day, I'm nothing without my sisters. And I know it. I own it. And I feel the same way how sisters are without the brothers, but I ain't no sister. So I can't say that definitively. I can think it all I want, but I can't say it. I'm smart enough to know I can't say it. But as a brother, as a man, I know that my existence is incomplete without sisters. And I think that whenever you know something like that, you do yourself a disservice when you find yourself always ready to be fighting. And I think we do that with each other too much. And I want to stop doing that. I want to know what you think about what I just said before I ask you my final question.
So I would challenge you and brothers like you to uplift females more, uplift them, pay them a compliment, do something nice, right? There's so much going on in the world that, just like with Black men, there's so many adversities that bring us down, and we need to be better at building each other up, right? I think that's so important. I also think that time is short. In the words of Bishop Bronner, today is the only time you have. You don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow, right? But in this moment, today, this is the only time that you can use, right? Use it productively. arguing about stupid stuff, arguing about something that hurt your feeling. Express, communicate, say what hurt your feelings, so you can get to a resolve, so you can get to some type of solution that can help it not happen again. I think it's so important to communicate, to love on each other more, and to uplift and motivate. Otherwise, like the silliness that's going to be there. Don't waste precious time with nonsense. It's just not worth it. We don't have time for that.
Yeah.
We only have so many summers left.
And the older you get, the less you got.
Exactly. Use your time wisely.
Yeah.
Be productive.
And I like what you just said, Fire, about uplifting.
Yeah.
It's something that
The challenge for the week.
it is absolutely, it's something that I think about regularly. It's something that I try to do. Like everybody, I could do better. I could do more. I can't speak for anybody else, but I think people who know me, people who know my heart would say that that's something that's important to me. And I think it's important to all of us to carry that kind of energy.
Yeah.
Like you encouraged me just now. I appreciate that. I appreciate that because, as a sister, you gave me that jewel out of the goodness of your heart. And I understand that. And I received that in the spirit in which it was given. So I thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the other things that we don't do enough of, we just not kind to one another. Just be nice. You know what I mean? Like my mother and my father raised me, just be nice to people. You know what I mean? Even sometimes folks that ain't nice to you. And I think that extends to men and women relationships, because just because I say good morning to you don't mean I want to get in your pants. You might not be my type. Just because you're a woman don't make you my type. You know what I mean? And vice versa. So I think the key is just be kind to one another, and everything else from there will begin to work themselves out. That's I truly know that inside my whole spirit. Last thing I want to get to is you. I want you to talk to us a little bit more about who you are, about what you do, about how the folks that are viewing and listening to us right now could rock with you, because the time that we spent with you tonight has been fulfilling for me, and I think I can speak for the crew and the listeners that I've enjoyed your time, and I want the folks who are rocking with us to be able to find you so that they can enjoy their time with you going forward. So if you wouldn't mind sharing with us who you are, what you do, how folks could rock with you so that we can kind of work with each other.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I host 2 shows, Fire's Playhouse on DTF Radio, and that's Sundays from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., and you can download the DTF Radio app. You can also find me Tuesday nights, 11 p.m. until on Facebook Live and IG Live for Pillow Talk, and that's where we talk about all things love and sex. So these shows are my escape. I work in IT. A lot of people don't know this, but I'm a real brainiac. I work in IT. I deal with code. I deal with quality assurance, right? So my shows are my escape. I am also part owner of an OTT called FamVision. So we're currently looking for good content that is uplifting, content that showcases our story. When I say our story, people that are Black and brown, people that are underserved. Those are the stories. That's the content that we're looking for. So yeah, you can find me at Firestorm, PHYASTORM. I'm consistent across all social medias, as well as Firestorm, PHYASTORM.com.
My sister, John, Steph, any final words for our guest?
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
I've been trying. I've been trying to make this happen for a long time, and I love your shows. I love what you do. You
thank you.
Make me feel really proud, just the fact that I know you.
Aw, thank you. I appreciate that.
And I tell people about you as much as I can all the time, and how fantastic you are and what you do. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Steph.
Oh, thanks for being on.
Thank you, Steph. Thank you. I'd love to have you all on my show on Fire's Playhouse one Sunday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m.
I would love it. And all you have to do is let us know when would be a good time for you, and just reach out, and we'd be happy to do it. I'd be happy to do it. And I thank you on behalf of Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J and Legacy Internet Radio for you rocking with us tonight.
Thank
And
you.
we look forward to building with you again, sis.
I'm gonna
Likewise.
see you tomorrow night. If I
All right, I'll be there
I
right
know.
here.
I'll
11
see you later.
p.m. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. I appreciate you all. Take
All
care.
right,
Alrighty.
Be
sister.
safe.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good night, Fire.
You too. Bye.
You got it. Peace. Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. All right, so let me get a couple of more comments in. Jasmine, our sister, Red Lipstick Vixen. She says the microphones on fire this evening. I suppose they are. And we appreciate you, sis. Sean says, remember, as you slide down the great banister of life, there are going to be people who are splinters in your butt. Pick them out and keep sliding. A timely Facebook post I thought would make a great final thought. Sean, that was the greatest thing you said all night, bro. That was dope. That was real dope. That was real dope. So thank you for sharing that, Sean. And we're not done. We're finished with our guests, but we're not done. We're still here for a little while. And Sean, you've been in the room with us. I know how you move and you know how we move. So we thank you for being a part of the show tonight, even as a fan, even as a listener, guest, viewer, whatever it is we calling you tonight. I rock with you, bro. I appreciate you rocking with us. Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J, live from New Dan Legacy and Radio. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. You want to rock with us, we'll roll with y'all. In the limited time that we have left, there are a few things that are still on our agenda as we towel off from our feisty and contentious conversation that we had on relationships. We're gonna move on from it, unless y'all want it some more. But I think we've kind of gotten it enough, at least in my opinion. We have. Shout out to my cousin Tony, who's dropping the thumbs up and the deuces. Thank you, cuz. Appreciate you rocking with us as well. And Sean, you're welcome. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. You want to rock with us? We'll roll with you. All right. So, Steph, I have a question for you. If I get arrested tomorrow and somebody has to come and bail me out, they're probably going to bail me out with a cash bond, right? Bail me out with a cash bail, right? And if they do that, I got to make sure I do what I got to do to make sure that you get your money back, right? But that has a way of not always working out the same based upon demographics. If I'm poor, it may not work out the same if I have money. And then it becomes an issue of social status. It becomes an issue of, in some cases, racism. What's my bail going to be versus the bail of someone who comes from a different neighborhood than I come from? And so that is something that I want to talk a little bit about. I don't want to spend a lot of time because there are a couple of things that I want to get to. So we're going to quick hit this the next 20 minutes or so as we move towards the end of the show. Talk to me a little bit, in your opinion, how cash bails relate to Jim Crow.
So the big thing for me was I was watching Philly DA on PBS, and Richmond, we're fortunate we don't cash bail will not keep you. I mean, it could, but there's a lot more opportunity for release on your own recognizance and so on and so forth in the state of Virginia. But when you look at places like Philadelphia and New York City, ROR is less likely to happen. Philadelphia had the highest incarcerated individuals simply waiting on bail payments. And the direct tie-in is, it's interesting that John always talks about what the police were created for. And we always have a lively discussion about that. And when you look at being remanded because you can't pay bail in places like Pennsylvania or Philadelphia, it ties directly to the truth of the fact that the prison system or the prison industrial complex is more likely to harm poor Black or brown people, or Black or brown people in general. So, for instance, there's a young woman. Her name is Latanya Myers. At 12 years old, her mother was being beaten up by her mother's boyfriend. She threw a can of air freshener at him. It hit him. He called the police. Mind you, he was abusing. He called the police. She went at 12 years old, was taken into custody. They charged her with a felony, and then they basically said, we will not. She was sitting in prison. I think it was for about 6 months because $1,500 bail. If you're poor and generationally you come from poor people, $1,500 is a lot of money. For those of us who have successes in different spaces, we still would look at it and be like, it's not money you're going to throw away. Imagine if you don't have it. So this young woman, in order to get out of that situation, they said, we'll release you to your grandmother, but you're going to have to be on probationary release. This happened when she was 12 years old. She's now old enough that she's 30 now, working for the mayor's office, the DA's office. She's working for the public defender's office. She will not get off probation in Philadelphia until 2027. If they had not gone, once she got the job at the public defender's office, fighting for it. Tons of stories like this. There was a young man, he had a small offense. He's sitting in prison for 8 months on $1,200 bail. And it's consistently like that over and over again. And really, it's a tie-in to that ongoing process of removing our freedoms from us. You have someone like Harvey Weinstein that did all of the things he did, and he did not spend the night in prison until it was time for him to go to prison. These people are legitimately being held. There was a young person that was held on $1,500 bail because he attempted to steal at Target. I'm saying attempted to steal because he was caught before he ever got out of the store. And they arrested him. And then he sat in jail for a long period of time with a $1,500 bail. His parents cannot pay it. He finally got out. He's on probation for 9 years. This is a continuous thing to not only impact you at the beginning of the process, when you go through the emotional process of someone being arrested, going to jail, processing all of those things. Latanya put it in a very real way. Once they release them from this cash bail system that keeps them there, mind you, cash bail is also the reason that Khalif Browder was beaten and abused for a period of 3 years for something that ultimately they dropped charges on, right? So we have that issue there. But then one thing that Latanya mentioned was in the Philadelphia system, once you're released and you go into probation or parole, you're on there so long that a judge literally said, I couldn't be crime-free for as long as most of these people are on probation. So what they're doing is tying you to a system that they know at some point is going to impede your progress. You miss one. She was getting a citation from the mayor for doing a great job. They sent a arrest warrant for her and said you missed your probation meeting. The tie-in to Jim Crow, the tie-in to the systemic processes that we have implemented, that we hold on to so tightly in this country, is that we've gotten comfortable with the fact that Black people don't get to experience full freedom. You remove segregation, you remove Jim Crow, you found another way to bind and bound Black people and keep them from experiencing their full freedom. And there's a DA right now, I really recommend watching it, but there's a DA in Philadelphia. He comes from he was a civil rights attorney. They did not want him to be the DA. And it was specifically, judges were saying that their major concern was every single one of them were like, you're changing a system. I've been doing this for 30 years. You don't get to tell me what to do. Not, we need to look at the system and how it's impacting the individuals that are going back to prison for small things, even though they've come out, they've gotten good jobs, they're doing what they're supposed to do, they're being good parents, whoever it was. They literally are fighting this because they don't want the DA telling them how to change the system. And the argument is, if we don't do this, people will continue to commit crime. The DA's argument is putting people in prison for long-term periods of time with a bond and then allowing them to come out and putting them on decade-long, like Meek Mill, probation only leads back to going into the prison system. And that's really the tie-in.
Recidivism. Yeah.
It's the recidivism rate, and that's really the tie-in to where they have us constitutionally and what they want to be doing.
So you said it in the beginning. It's just, listen, it's what it is. Police are slave catchers. Criminal justice system is the new national plantation, and that's all it is. They are making money. They're building entire towns based on a jail that's empty. So they're gonna fill it up. A prison, rather, that's empty. Jail system. A lot of people don't understand the difference between jail and prison, but it's a huge difference. The idea, the way the criminal justice system was set up, it was set up specifically to deal with slaves after the Civil War, after Emancipation Proclamation. A lot of people don't know. Emancipation Proclamation freed slaves in the South exclusively. There were still slaves for years, illegal slaves in the North, right? So we got to really understand what's going on in the legal system, right? The legal system, the law, just like I told people last week or 2 weeks ago, Constitution is not for us. If you know how to interpret and apply the law, you can make it for you. But even then, you still run a chance of not being heard, right? So let's just take it right here. It's not us. The laws are not for us in a way that is positive. And we have to understand that first before we can properly address it. The idea that you arrest so many people that you cannot give me my arraignment within the 72 hours that you're supposed to do, that you're going to keep me in jail until you can find room on your docket to process me.
And if no one can pay for me to get out,
is a violation in and of itself.
Absolutely.
And then you want to make a condition on it,
on cash bond,
which is a double dip, because anything having to do with cash cannot be part of a criminal process. Cash is for civil processing, right? So the minute they introduce money into a criminal situation, they're breaking the law, and they know it, right? And this is why I get in it with lawyers, and I have and Legal Eagle, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but these are the problems I have with lawyers. They willingly participate in these actions that they know are wrong, but it's the system that they said that they were going to be a part of, so they're part of the system.
And I want to jump in on that, because that was a big part of the argument. As Larry, I think it's Kastner, was coming in as the new DA, he was bringing his own team, and he fired like 30 DAs that were in the, assistant DAs, because he knew they would not be willing to change their mindset. They were specifically tied to, this is the process, this is the system. You don't want to spend time in jail, don't do the crime. That was where they were. So he fired them. And he brought in a lot of new people. He actually ended up getting, I think they said that Philadelphia's probationary, I mean, there are people on probation for decades after sitting in jail on these cash bonds, a cash bail premises. It's ridiculous.
I have argued in front of judges on multiple occasions and cited law, right? Cited law in the court, and only to have the judge tell me that I cannot cite law in the court, right? And have the prosecutor, who knew I was citing law, and the judge who knew I was citing law, have it stricken from the record because he said there's no room for law in this court. I've had those words spoken to me, right? So this is telling you how corrupt and disgusting the system is that we're dealing with. And the thing that gets to me is when we say this out loud, right? When we say this out loud, perfect example, a young woman tries to protect her mother. She gets arrested. Okay, that's crazy from the rip. All right, crazy from the rip. So let's go with that crazy. Now let's go to the court. She gets to the court. She gets arraigned. or she doesn't get arraigned, but she gets put in jail for the arraignment, she gets a cash bond that they know she can't afford. They know, right? They know what they're dealing with. So they put a cash bond. So now she's in prison, but she's generating money in prison as a prisoner. It's a battery in the pack, right? Because the money that the state and the federal government are paying to house her and feed her goes to pay somebody else. So she's generating a system.
And in
right?
Philadelphia, you do have a per diem per day that you pay
Exactly.
in order to be housed as a
And
prisoner.
exactly. So now, not only this, not only are they're cheating you and robbing you, but let's understand this again. I have allegedly committed a crime that you have not proven, right? So I'm not innocent till guilty. I'm guilty
Exactly.
until you can prove I'm more guilty.
That's exactly right.
Right? So this is the system that we're in. And my problem with people is lawyers, politicians, educated folk, they know this. They know it's wrong. They know it's fundamentally illegal. And they willingly accept it and participate in it because they find profit in it for themselves. And these are the people who we are asked to put our trust in, right? And it's disgusting. It's in my gut in a way I can't even express because I spent hours, days. I would go in when it was dark and come out when it was dark in the Brooklyn Law College Library, right? And studying and understanding the difference in applied law, interpreted law, real law, and pseudo law, the color of law, and all these different things that they use to entrap us in this nonsense. And when it comes right down to it, it's all corrupt, it's all not good, and it's all designed specifically to enslave black and brown people and disenfranchise poor white people. And until everyone is understanding of this, and until we hold people who know better accountable for their willing participation in this system that is continuing slavery, slavery is not over. And until we make people address it and speak up to it, we're never going to change it.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy and that radio. All right, so last thing we'll get to before we move on, we'll hit this. I wish that we had more time, but you know, we had a great time with our sister Fire, and I appreciate, you know, the fact that we did that as opposed to going through the normal stuff. But there are a couple of things that I wanted to get through. That was one of them. The last thing that we'll get to is the anniversary of the murder of George Floyd, which is going to be tomorrow. And the family, the family of George Floyd has accepted an invitation from President Biden to come to the White House tomorrow to meet with them. And, you know, my thought on that is, hey, it's cool. It's a nice photo op. President gets to have that photo op, be a part of his legacy. And of course, the Floyd family gets to go to the White House. And, you know, I don't know how they would feel about that. They are the ones that suffered the loss. I got no heat or shade for them. I do, however, wonder why the bill, the anti-lynching bill, has not been passed, and why we have an anti-hate bill for Asian people. At the same time, we don't have anything for Black folks. Now, I got no heat with Asian people. You know, I'm not one of those people who deals with false equivalencies. And the false equivalency would be, in my opinion, throwing shade at Asian people for getting an advancement. You know, those people deserve it. Just because we deserve it doesn't mean that they don't deserve it. So I'm not throwing shade at them. What I'm throwing shade at is the legislators who saw fit to rush that through because the prior president was such a fucking asshole with regards to how he talked about these people so badly with regards to the coronavirus that you had his minions actually going around and delving out extra hate, because you know they got enough regular hate. There's enough regular hate, but they've been doling out extra hate for Asian people, and you're seeing it on video, and you're seeing it on tape. And it's not just folks who celebrate the prior president. I seen Black folks out here coming for Asian people, elderly people, old people, and harmless people, defenseless, harmless people. So let me just say this, right? while I got a problem with how that got pushed through and how there are plenty of issues that are specific to Black people in this country that we have lobbied for that have been ignored because that's what is done here in this country, I am in no way endorsing any violence towards anybody. And since we're speaking specifically on Asian people, if you are someone, Black, white, conservative, liberal, whatever you are, if you are someone that comes for any defenseless person, Asian people is who we're talking about right now, but not just Asian people. If you come for defenseless people, you are the worst kind of coward. And I think that you should be punished to the fullest extent of the law with any kind of penalty that they can give you. And if that means that this bill having been passed for Asian folks and they are now able to charge folks with hate crimes because of it, I'm all for it. So let me be clear on that. I'm all for it. I'm not coming on here talking about how I wish that it was not done. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is, hey, I'm here. What about me? Hi, I've been here 400 years. Hey, hi. Hey, I'm Black. Y'all fuck with us too. You know what I mean? A lot, a whole lot. When I can sit here and I can rattle off the names of George Floyd, of Ramarley Graham, of Oscar Grant, of John Crawford, of Sean Bell, of Tamir Rice, of Crutcher, and others. You know, there's so many names that I could sit here, and if I really, really sat through them, I could rattle them off. I used to be able to do it. There's so many names. And for some reason, we can't see fit to having some sort of police reform where this shit don't happen like it been happening. But since the prior president been saying all of these nasty things about Asian people, and it's novel now. It's novel to come to their defense, as we should, but it's novel now to come to their defense. So they rushed that through. It's not okay to call coronavirus China virus. That's not okay. It's not okay to run up on someone's Asian grandma and knock her out because she happens to be Asian and coronavirus is in the air. That's not okay. However, it's not okay to be shooting folks like Walter Scott in the back who's running from you, police officer. It's not okay to snatch your grandma out the car and beat the brakes off of her because she didn't pull over when you said so. Maybe she didn't hear you. She was getting it. The music was high. It's not okay to pull out your gun and shoot somebody in the car. My bad. I thought it was my taser. This happens so much. It's been happening for so long that it has become a part of American culture where we don't even trip off of it anymore. And I don't mean we as in Black folk. I mean we as American people. We're so used to it. I'm tripping tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of George Floyd's death. And it ain't George Floyd's death. It's George Floyd's murder. He was killed on camera in front of us. 9 minutes, this man held his knee on his neck. And we sat there and watched it. And we watched the trial just a few months ago. And we worried if there was going to be a conviction. Why? Because you got a white cop that killed a Black man in America. And we've seen it before. We just saw it happen in Carolina. And they don't even want to show you the tape. But they're not going to charge the cops. They're not going to show you the tape, though. But they're not going to charge the cops. So this is the America that we live in. So while we can celebrate the fact that there's this bill for Asian Americans that deserves to be on the books, because we don't need to be willy-nilly knocking folks out just because the prior president called the coronavirus a China virus and empowered his minions, the same people he empowered to storm the Capitol. I'm going to talk more about that in my rant. That's the hint. I'm going to talk more about that in my rant. But the same president that inspired those people to run up on the Capitol inspired the same people to run up on Asian people. No, the president didn't do that. They didn't tell people to go out there. He's calling it the China virus. We're not going to be stupid, okay? We're not going to be stupid, and we're not going to be blind. We don't do that on this show. We know what it is. We know who he is, and we know who his minions are. And we know why this bill was passed. We should celebrate the bill being passed. Hard stop. But at the same time, what about us? We've been here. We've been here. And it's not okay that we got to have George Floyd and others like him die at the hands of the police time after time after time after time, and nothing happens except for more T-shirts being made and more marches being held. So, Ain't No Half Step on Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy and Net Radio. John, you got the con.
Yeah. I'm going to slightly disagree with you because we really don't need a bill to say don't hit defenseless people. The fact that we have one, to me, says more about what's wrong than what's right. But we got to remember something. Yeah, it took them less than 6 months to get theirs off the ground and in the office. But you got to understand, they were brought here. They weren't brought here. They came here and they suffered abuse and built the railroads and different things and suffered certain things. But black people, some were brought here, some were already here, and we were chattel slaves. And that system has been in place and is still in place for however long it's been. I'll say middle 1600s to now. So whatever that is, 400 years in closing and coming up on 400 years of chattel slavery in one way or another, specifically designed specifically for black people. The civil rights movement became a joke because the civil rights movement had to deal with what black people went through for years, right? And what we had to deal with in order to try to get the black people in the South the ability to vote without being beat to death, right? And now, directly after it was passed, it became civil rights for everybody, right? A white man now can say his civil rights was violated. That lets you know what we're dealing with, right? Biden knows what the problem is. So does Kamala Harris. So does every elected official in office anywhere in DC. They know what's going on. And the fact that it's still going on, like Marcus just said, right? We know what it is. How we got to keep playing like we don't know, right? And for all the white people who said they didn't know, but now you know. Social media lets you know. And all you got to say to it is, oh, well. Nah, this ain't new. This has been going on forever, right? You just get to see it now because everybody got camera phones. And what you're saying is, oh, yeah, we see it, but we don't care, right? We don't care because, we're going to go to the talking point of black people commit more crime. No, we don't. Oh, well, black people kill each other so they don't care. Everybody kills each other, right? What other talking points you got? Oh, black people are not this. Black are not educated. Black women are the most educated people in the country per capita. Black people don't pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Yeah, they do. Black women open more businesses per capita than anybody in the country. Right? Black men are this or that. No, that is your talking point. Again, like I've said many times before, the word suspect is equal to black man in the police department. That's why the police department is racist. That's why I'm telling you that the police department was constructed and designed to hunt, capture, and kill black people, right? And people in the police department know it. Maybe not all the way down to the officer on the beat just trying to get home to his family. But what he doesn't realize is when they send him out in the morning, and they tell him that you're going to go to this area because this is where the crime is, and that area is predominantly black, and they tell you that these black people will do these things to you if you don't do it to them first, and when you shoot to kill, don't shoot to wound, and your most important job is not serving and protecting or enforcing the law or policing the area, your most important job, one, is to go home. So if that's your most important job, when you go out into the area where they already told you the crime was, where they already told you that the black people are trying to kill you, you have the mindset of, I got to get home. So if anything possibly can impede that, you're going to shoot to kill and ask questions later, because they already told you, don't worry about it. There are no consequences for killing black people because they're black people, right? And you're going to tell me that that's not the continuation of slavery and the slave catcher. How dare you think you got freedoms? How dare you think you can drive this vehicle? How dare you think you can walk up and down this street? How dare you think you can have your own opinion on whatever you want to have? And don't in the slightest way question anything. Just accept how it's gone to you or you're going to die. Right? How dare you have to have, until we can stop having to have the talk, right? Things are never going to change. They're never going to be any different. And that's what we're dealing with.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio stuff.
Well, I think, with the initial part of the conversation, I agree with you for sure. I'm happy somebody's getting some justice, I guess, but at the end of the day, I think black pain has been so commoditized now. It's just, every time we turn around, we're seeing another video. Every time you look at Twitter, that's what's in your feed. You turn on the TV, that's what you see. And the price is only paid by us. There's no opportunity to even discuss how to make it right. I mean, the fact that they don't even want to discuss the bill, the anti-lynching bill. If you think about, George Floyd was actually murdered by a white police officer. And the biggest reason that they don't want to discuss the George Floyd Policing Act is that it would limit the ability, it would take out qualified immunity. It would limit the ability to sue police officers in a civil environment. That's a problem. The act has been, the bill has been created specifically to address that. And they're saying, no, you got to pull that out if we're even going to talk about it. And then when you go back, you look at and I mentioned this last week, anti-lynching bills have been in play since the 1800s, and they never get fully passed. They never get passed. The fact of the matter is that when they look at, and even watching a segment on TV where people were talking, about the perception of black people in policing, it is very much that before they can get to the idea of holding anybody accountable for our deaths, they have to be comfortable with the fact that we didn't deserve it. And they are not there yet. And I think it's important to think about that. They have not gotten to the fact, we deal with this every single time. We go through these conversations of having to peel back the layers of what someone did before we can get to the point of saying they did not deserve to be put to death in the streets. We have to peel back the layers. We have to have a whole discussion. We have to justify it. We have to argue about it. I'm not surprised that these two bills haven't been passed. I'm not surprised at all. I'm also not surprised that while these two bills have not been passed, these two bills that significantly impact black people, and not black and brown people, black people, the people on the other side are asking us to speak out and lend our voices to their cause. So I've got to speak up for the AAPI bill. I've got to speak out about everything that's going on in Gaza. We black people have to become the magnanimous, giving, loving people in order to even be thought of as part of the community. But when it's something that's dealing with us, everybody goes silent. And that is where I have a problem. Not that the bill was passed in regards to AAPI, but how quickly, and the fact that they are looked at as human enough that that bill was necessary right away. It's a problem. And the final thing I'll say about it is just, when you look at the system in general, when you look at how we are policed in general, when you look at the fact that there's a woman that was able to say she literally spent 18 years on probation because she was squatting in a house when she was homeless. No lie, 18 years. All of those things then tie into the basic thing that's always going to keep our names out of play when it comes to reparations or making things right, and it is that our value is null and void to this society. We still have to justify the fact that our ancestors built this. We have people that don't want to have critical race theory discussions because they don't want to acknowledge what was done to us. And the fact that these two bills sit out there are only complements to the arguments that we've been having for so many years. It's frustrating, it's tiring, and on some level, I know that this is a little bit about creating a us and them thing. I know they want this at the highest levels, and they didn't they're a little disingenuous even in signing this AAPI bill. Some of it is so that we have this divide between those of us who are recognized as Black, brown, or other. But the fact of the matter is, those other people and those brown people, you have been watching this since Trayvon Martin and haven't said a word. And now every commercial is about, with us, it was lip service. Throw Black Lives Matters on something and sell more of it. Throw Black Lives Matters on a Nike jersey, sell more of it. With them, what they are getting is the experience of the most important thing, that power is more important than outrage. The power lies with the Asian people who are getting the results that they want. We don't have enough power. And this is why our communities have to come together, because outrage is only going to get us so far. And I think that speaks to something that my brother John says consistently about marching and everything else. While I still believe that young people should get out there and exercise that, power is more important than outrage. So when you get to the point of thinking about your local DA or who your mayor is or who the representatives are at the prosecutor's office, all of those things, you need to remember that power is more important than outrage.
Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy in that radio. Sue says exactly. They feel like we deserve every bit of it. So yeah, ain't no half step. Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy in that radio. All right, so we're at the end of the show. We are getting to the point where we have to do our housekeeping and get us the hell on up out of here. At this time of the show, we always make sure that we do a moment in Black history. So tonight is no different. Let's see. This week in Black. Oh boy. Okay. Let's start in 1796. Why are you going all the way back to 1796? Because y'all always like to talk about how great George Washington was. That's why. President George Washington offers his $10 reward for return of Oni Judge, an enslaved Black woman who fled after learning that Mrs. Washington planned to give her away as a wedding gift. How dare she try to leave? My goodness. Coming up to the present day in 2013, a federal judge rules Sheriff Joe Arpaio of Maricopa County, Arizona, illegally targeted Latinos during raids and traffic stops based on their race. And then he got promptly pardoned by the last president. 1994, Denny's restaurant chain agrees to pay largest ever settlement to Black folk who sued after being refused service, made to wait longer, or charge more than white customers. Shocker. I actually remember that. I'm gonna do two more. 1822, Denmark Vesey, a free Black man in South Carolina, is accused of planning a large slave insurrection and later hung, along with over 30 alleged co-conspirators. You know, every time I read stuff like that, it just blows my mind. Like,
Crazy.
Yo, what the hell you expect them to do? You was enslaving them. You expect them to say, we love to be slaves. Let us be slaves some more, boss. Hell no. Hang me. Just hang me. 2016. Tourists visiting the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. find a noose placed by an unknown party in the museum. I actually remember that one too. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J.
Happy birthday, Heavy D.
Today is Dwight Myers' birthday. He would be 54 years old today. Shout out to Dwight Myers. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy in that radio. This man gave us so much joy in our life. Let's take a moment. I'm glad you brought that
It,
up.
it affected me more than
Let's
a
do
lot of deaths.
real quick. Let's go
Uh,
around the room real quick. Let's give a quick reflection on Heavy Dwight Myers, Heavy D. And I'm glad you brought that up because I love this man as much as you do. Well, I
uh,
love this man. What you got?
he was my contemporary. I viewed him as a peer. He was exceptionally talented and generous, and just represented everything that I thought was good in people. And when he died, it affected me different because it was really like someone who I really viewed as a contemporary and a peer.
Yeah.
So it touched me, and him going all the way back to the mid '80s when his career jumped off all the way through, and he went into acting and doing other things. It was like losing a family member. It really was. And people find that hard to understand in our community, in our Black community, how we get so attached and have so much love and feel so much pain when we lose people who are celebrities who they say we don't know. What y'all don't understand is we love different. I'm sorry, I may sound racist or whatever you want to call it, or bigoted, but we love different. And when you spend when those people spend that much time in our household and play that much part in the background and foreground of our lives and things that we do, these people mean much more to us than just celebrities or entertainers. These are our family members. We lose them and it hurts.
But diddly diddly D. Yeah. Shout out to Heavy D. Steph, reflections on Dwight Myers, Heavy D.
I think he was one of the early relatable rappers. Like outside of just being a rapper, he was relatable. It's why he crossed over into TV. He crossed over into TV and movies earlier than a lot of the other ones who are extremely successful with it now. And I think he would have been successful in that way. I remember seeing an interview, and I don't remember if it was on BET or whatever, but he was so down to earth in his approach with the audience. He was having a lot, back and forth with the audience. And, and if you really think about it, he did happy rap. That's what he did. He did happy rap at a time where people were really venturing into harder stuff.
Right.
And I think that's with all artists, I think he was a representation of what all artists really should chase, which is do what you love.
Right.
You don't necessarily always have to do what everybody else is doing or what's popular or what's trending, because he was doing something that was different.
Right.
Even with the boys, and the dancing and him dancing
Right.
and wearing suits and ties and
Right.
vests and slacks. He was a different kind of cat, and I don't think people really paid attention to how different he was than the standard rap market at that time.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I always remember is just that relatable thing, that crossover appeal.
Yeah.
And shout out to the West Indians.
Yeah.
Always
man, he's
representing.
from Jamaica.
Come to New York and bring all kinds of talent.
When you say that he did happy rap, I remember when You Can't See What I Can See came out, and that was a little harder than what he normally did. And it's a testament to what you just said about him, because his fare was normally more happy, club, upbeat, bouncy. And You Can't See What I Can See wasn't a hard record, but it was hard for him. And I remember when it came out, because I remember the feeling that we all had at the time. It's like, yo, that's a little different, from Hev. I was a fan of his. I liked his music. I enjoyed him. I was a huge, huge, huge fan of the Fat Boys. Anybody that knows me knows that how John felt connected to Heavy D. I felt that same connection to Prince Marky D. And it was a similar vibe for me. I don't know that others would agree, but Heavy was a big guy, and I grew up a little bit awkward, still a little bit awkward. So I could relate to fat people and short people and people who may not be traditionally normal, whatever the hell that means, or popular, whatever. I could relate to it. It's probably the reason why I kind of walk around with a chip on my shoulder now. But having said that, watching, yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. I know what he's going to tell you. But watching Heavy D and listening to his music, he was different. he was a different kind of cool. Like he made his own lingo, like the bundiddly diddly dee. Like that was so cool. It's like, where the hell did that come from? It's like
That's yard boy stuff. That's
he just,
Jamaican.
you know, he just did it, you know, and it felt natural. And then we all tried to do it, and most of us couldn't do it like him. And we would try, and we would be in our ciphers, and we'd be like, you know, again, you do it, and you might get 2 bundiddly diddlies, but you couldn't get that third one. Diddly diddly, you know, and you kept on trying, you know, and I just really like it. I got one more quick story. 1989/90. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm known for wearing tinted glasses. You know, there's a reason for it, which I'll share another time. But I've worn tinted glasses my whole life, and I just like to wear tinted glasses. And in 89/90, I had a pair of glasses, and I'll go into the eyeglasses store with a picture of Heavy D,
Yeah.
and I tell him, this is what I want. And I end up coming out not what I asked for. But I go in, this is what I want. Because the way his glasses looked to me was just so cool. I was like, yo, I want that look right there. And like I said, I can show you the picture. I got a picture of myself from around 1990 with my they were tinted glasses, but they weren't
like heavy.
Yeah, they weren't heavy.
They weren't heavy. But I went in the eyeglasses store
with
a picture, and this is what I want. And so this is just a quick story of how I love the man. I was a fan of the man. I want to thank John for reminding us today would have been his 54th birthday. So rest in eternal power and peace to our brother Dwight Myers, known as Heavy D. John.
2-second accolade, and we get to our rants. Heavy D, I believe, the only rapper to get #1 singles with Michael and Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
Only one.
Yeah, because he had with Michael, he had Jam. I can't remember what he had with Jam.
It's All Right With Me, whatever the thing with he did with what she do, the Cab Calloway thing.
Okay. Yeah.
All Right With Me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All Right With Me. Yeah.
See, I know Jam because Jam was the very first song on my very favorite Michael Jackson record, Dangerous, which came out also in 1991. Jam, jam, here comes the man, hot damn.
so he almost channeled Chub Rock
making funky tracks with my man Michael. Yeah, right. Making funky tracks with my man Michael Jackson. Smooth Criminal, my man Mike. So relax.
But again, that likable thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So
Flowers.
Flowers.
Yeah, shout out to Chub Rock. Chub, love you, bro.
Yeah,
Chub,
man, that's the man, the big man.
Yeah.
You know, I have Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy in that radio. All right, so we're gonna get to our missing children. We're looking for Tiana Jackson. She's a 13-year-old black female missing since May 13th. 5'3", 100. She's missing from Henrico County. Last seen wearing red jacket with white and green patterns on it, ripped blue jeans, white Nike shoes. Has braided hair with blonde highlights. Was wearing pearl earrings and a gold necklace with her name on it. We're also looking for Rashard Johnson, also from Henrico County, missing since May 17th, 17-year-old black male. He's 5'5", 186. Last seen wearing a red and black checker hoodie with black pants. If you've seen either of them, contact the Henrico County Police Department at 804-501-5000. Last but not least, we're looking for Ariana Bright. Ariana Bright's been missing since May 18th from Hopewell, Virginia, which is south of us here near Petersburg. Ariana Bright is a female, 14 years old, 5 foot 130. Last seen, she's got nose rings and may be in need of medication. Hopewell Police Department's number is 804-541-2222. If you've seen any of the 3 children we're looking for tonight, please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact them by phone at 1-800-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio at this time of the show. We will go around the room and pass the con around to each other. We're going to start with John with your rant and your closing, my brother.
Your hat is inspiring my rant. Um, there's a show on Stars, Godfather of Harlem. It depicts the life and times of Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson, and the role that he played in Harlem, not just as a drug dealer, but as someone who tried to walk a line and do something in the community, like so many people in our community. uh, we have limited resources available to us in order to do constructive things. So a lot of times, these people who are criminal, who are doing horrible things, they're doing horrible things. They try to find ways to not necessarily justify, but to offset some of the horrific things that they do. And the problem is, people don't want to understand that uh, when they say, well, if I don't do it, you're just going to have the white man come in and do it. And it's going to be the same destruction, but we're going to get nothing out of it. But if I do it, at least I can control it in a way and have something come out. Let the crime in the community benefit the community somehow, because it does in other communities. It does in the Chinese community. Chinatown in New York City is probably one of the most corrupt criminal places I've ever been, and I've been some places, right? But they keep that within the community, and what crime and the stuff that goes on, drugs, sex trafficking, all kind of stuff. Whatever happens in that community benefits that community before it does anybody else. We are the only. Every other community has the same thing. We're the only people made to feel brought to task with criminalization of our community by ourselves, and that's a whole nother topic. But that show also depicts the relationship between uh, Bumpy Johnson and Malcolm X, which was a relationship, and Adam Clayton Powell. These three men had a relationship, right? And they worked in conjunction with one another to try to better the community as best they can. Uh, Malcolm had a speech, a bullet or the ballot, and in the show, something about the speech where he speaks on the power of the black vote. And this is something I've been trying to express to people as much as I can. Things it's been 50 something, 55 years since this stuff we're talking about, and it's still the same today. White people are divided basically 50-50 in this country with regard to Republican and Democrat ideologies and so on and so forth. And the stuff they're talking about really don't concern us. But they're divided 50-50. And usually when it comes down to who's going to win, it's whether or not we go out and vote. We have that power, right? But until we recognize the power before we exercise the power and use it constructively for our benefit, it's useless, right? We got to start holding these people accountable, right? And yeah, we had to get rid of Trump. He was an anomaly. That's fine. But still, we got to now hold Biden responsible, right? He knows what's going on. Stop giving me lip service. Stop giving me lip service. Because if it was a 12-year-old white girl, the situation that Steph brought up earlier, if it was a white man with a knee in his neck, if it was white people getting shot disproportionately and so on and so forth, it wouldn't matter what the Congress did, right? We would find some way that the president would do something like a executive order or something like that. How is it that this Congress we cannot even get consistency in the Democratic Party throughout the Congress to put this bill forward? I want you all to think about that when you register your vote, right? Start thinking about independence. Start thinking about a party. How about the hip hop party? We tried the Black Panther Party, they killed us. right? Let's call it the hip hop party. This way, white people can get in on it because they trying to take over hip hop anyway. But let's call it the hip hop party, where we're going to discuss things in a way that are common, that make common sense. We're not going to multiply words exceedingly, right? And try to turn it around and all this spin and doctrine. No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to have someone have to wait to be arraigned. If you do not have enough people to process people on alleged crime, right? Either hire more people or stop arresting people for summonable offenses, right? If you could write someone a summons and have them appear and pay at a later time, even if it's 2 years later, they will pay or they will not pay. They will show up or they will not show up. Stop arresting them and take them into court and backing up the court system. And then taking somebody who was driving a car with a suspended license and putting them in the same cell with somebody that just killed 3 people. You're going to put these people together like they're the same. They're not the same, right? Stop putting a price tag on life is what you're doing with the bail. There's bail reform in New York now, and the problem with that is now everybody's walking out. And that's not good either. People who commit violent crimes should not be put back into society while we figure out how we're going to prosecute them. No, prosecute them. Stop putting crimes on people that they didn't commit so that you could plead them down later to win a lesser charge, right? Put the crime that they committed on the book, prosecute that based on the evidence, make the police do their job. And how about this? Let's pay the police more. I don't got a problem doubling the police salary, right? But make them responsible and earn that money, right? Do your job, right? Stop trying to take the easy way out. When somebody's committing a crime, document it. Get everything you need done and do it the right way, and then go into court, prosecute those people, and put them away. The system can work if you take away the bias in the bullshit, right? That's what reform is. Forget about defunding police. That's the stupidest phrase I ever heard in my life. We need police reform. We need criminal justice reform, right? And the way that we make this happen is we recognize first, then we exercise the power of the vote. And that's how this starts, and that's my rant.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy in that radio. It's time for my sister, Steph B, to get the con, as they like to say. It's your turn. For your rant, your closing, sis, what you got?
I'll keep it pretty brief. I want to go back and say, please, everyone, if you have an opportunity, please watch Philly DA. I can't stress enough how significant it was and how impactful it was to hear these sisters and brothers talking about the amount of time they're spending, not just under a cash bail system, but also under long probationary sentences. And the reason I think it's so important is because the unfortunate thing is that not everybody has family and friends. Not everybody has family and friends that care for them, that love them, that can be there for them. There were some people who were sitting in jail on very small things, waiting to be bonded or bailed out, and their last surviving family members passed away, mothers and aunts. So if you could go to communityjusticeexchange.org. It's communityjusticeexchange.org. Anywhere, if you go to that website, even in your city, there will be links to being able to help people or donate money or volunteer in other ways for people that are stuck in places on bail. There's a location, there's a network here in Richmond. There are some in every city. Again, it's communityjusticeexchange.org. And the last thing that I want to say is we have all gone through the pandemic. And while so many people have talked about, what you did during the pandemic, did you open a business and did you get an LLC and things that may not necessarily be relevant to every single individual. One thing we all should have gone through is a paradigm shift. We found out in the last year and a half that we can live without certain things, that we can go into a mode of self-protection, that we can identify peace within ourselves by living within our own spaces and only allowing the people that we trust within it. And I bring that up because it's important that we remember that paradigm shift as we re-enter society, as things reopen. We're going to be back out here in public, and all of the things that we got to unfortunately view from a distance on TV are now going to be within the spectrum of our lives. And I think it's important to be able to step back and say, how much do I really want to be engaged, involved, or exposed to a lot of this? Remember, the people who did this to George Floyd are part of a system, and that system is everywhere and it's expansive. So when you're out and about this summer or this spring, you're enjoying what we perceive as our freedoms, however limited or broad. Be careful. Make better choices. Allow the pandemic to push you to a paradigm shift in which you see things so differently that you go into a space of protecting yourself and those around you. Don't make the decisions that are going to put you in a path of dealing with people that don't understand you and don't want to deal with you and your humanity. Spend some more time with the people who love you. Recognize that everybody doesn't belong at your cookout, and it's time to stop giving out ally cookies to anybody who can dance or do the Iggy Shuffle or whatever it is they can do. Everybody doesn't need to be in your space. That's what this opportunity with the pandemic really did for me. It allowed me to see things in a form of what's going to be my paradigm shift. And it came down to including people that love me in all of my nests. Everything about me, my wonderfulness, my greatness, when I'm down or when I'm up. We need to start doing that more significantly as a community. If we begin to do that, we can go into a period in which we identify peace and we identify our own prosperity and we start to work together with one another, and we also get to enjoy our lives. We're not going to necessarily get it from the people who don't intend for us to have it, but we can get it from and with and among one another. And that's my rant.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so time for me close us out with my own rant and my own closing, and I'll try to be brief. Sometimes I have a little trouble with that. I want to talk about Republican leadership real quick. I want to talk about how Republican leadership does not want to probe the Capitol insurrection on January 6th. My question is, why not? This really should be an easy one because Republicans and Democrats both attacked at the Capitol. The Republican vice president was a target. They came for this dude. This should not be hard. And cops were injured, and some of them died. Some of them ended up dying afterwards. At least one died during it. Attacked by American-born terrorists who attacked their own capital on the word of the president of the United States. What am I missing here, y'all? I just need to know, what am I missing here? These are the same people who wanted to talk about Benghazi for years. Is there something in this probe that they don't want us to know? Perhaps some of their leadership may get a subpoena to speak on things they don't want to talk about. Possibly a conclusion of collusion. These people never cease to amaze me with their nonsense that they come up with and the hypocrisy that they're capable of. It was bad enough when they ignored the election lie, but these patriots who refuse to get to the bottom of one of the darkest days of this country's history is absolutely worse than hypocritical. And I can't see any good reason not to investigate it. The politics that these people play is sickening, but unfortunately, it's not surprising. And just for a minute, just close your eyes for a minute and just imagine, right? Just imagine if this was Barack Hussein Obama, who said the same things that his successor said, and thousands of black people did what these folks did on January 6th, right? The U.S. Capitol. Imagine black folks running through the U.S. Capitol with red, black, and green flags, sitting at the desk of the Speaker of the House and chanting death towards elected officials. Just imagine what would have happened. And spare me this bullshit about race bait, Marcus J. Because we all know what would have happened. We all know. So cut the crap. It's the hypocrisy that upsets me because it's just so transparent and we all know it. Blood or cuz. That's the Marcus's unrelated rant that's got nothing to do with what we in here talking about tonight. It's the end of the show. I want to remind everybody that independence is the key to building your legacy. Also, want to say peace to all of the stars and all of the squares. Sue's going to get the last word before I close this out. She says all of them are guilty as hell. They don't want to jail themselves. She nailed it. In the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who you hear singing in the background. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We will be live from the den, the new den of Legacy Internet Radio real soon. We love y'all. Holla.
Oh yeah. I'm with this, with me. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready. Let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah. Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah. Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. Yeah. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, Legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. Yeah. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.